those years as a superhero in Marvel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1051, A Little Favor. Strange felt that his math should not be a big problem, because doctors also belong to science. If you don't have good math grades, you can't go to medical school or become a doctor. And his history doesn't seem to be very bad. He still remembers that the Middle Ages is a very long time away from now. The great wizard Merlin has been dead for hundreds of years, and now it is the era of the Ancient One. And at this time, in front of him, there actually appeared a person who is only about 20 years old, but claimed to be the daughter of the great wizard Merlin. Wait, is my brain broken? Strange was suspicious. At first, he just thought that this woman was probably a descendant of Merlin, such as the 72nd great-great-grandson or something. But she said she was Merlin's daughter as soon as she opened her mouth. If so, her generation is terrifyingly high. It may even be higher than the Ancient One. But is she? Strange seriously doubted. If she is Merlin's daughter, then she is already hundreds of years old. This is the minimum. But she looks very young, and not only in appearance, but also in her dress and in her temperament. This is very strange. Strange believes that there are some magic that can help people stay young forever. But no matter how young a person looks when he is old, he is still an old man in essence. And is Roma, who looks like a rock girl, really Merlin's daughter? So Strange asked his own question, are you 25 years old? Not yet an adult. As soon as Strange finished speaking, Roma's expression seemed to ease a lot. She didn't have the cool look when she first appeared. She whistled, wow, is this how you usually chat up girls? You have good skills. I heard that you were a playboy in the past. I didn't believe it at first. But now I believe it. How many girls have you tricked into sleeping with you? It's not important. Strange refused to answer this question. He said, the important thing is who are you? What do you want to do? Then, I have to say it again, you'd better let me go quickly. Otherwise, you will regret it. Roma circled Strange and looked at him several times, then asked in a scrutinizing tone, what did you just say? We will regret it? What did you use to make us regret it? Just the half-baked magician's hand just now? And your physique looks so weak, it seems that you have not mastered the essence of a battle mage at all. It looks like you are a fragile mage, the kind of standing mage who mainly focuses on output. A guy who needs a long time to chant, and then fails to cast a spell after the reading bar is interrupted. To be honest, this branch of rubbish mages is simply a shame for our mage world. Roma talked freely. But Strange felt more and more that she couldn't be Merlin's daughter. Because this guy's vocabulary was too trendy. If she was of the same generation as the Ancient One, or even a generation older than him, she shouldn't have learned so many trendy words, right? Although the Ancient One also surfed the internet, and Kamartaki also had free Wi-Fi, the only thing the Ancient One did when surfing the internet, besides watching news and watching movies, was stealing vegetables from the farm. If Roma was talking about how much grass to feed cattle, and raising a unicorn or something on his own ranch, then Strange would find it easier to accept. Because the Ancient One's farm was full of unicorns and flying dragons. By the way, the Ancient One never added friends when playing online farms. Because if he added friends, someone would come to steal vegetables. Every time his own vegetables were stolen, the Ancient One was very angry. Strange used to think that this kind of Ancient One was very trendy, but Roma seemed to play more trendy games. He even played online games, and it looked like he might go to a bar at night to be a resident singer or something. I tell you, there is no future for mages who stand still and output at a fixed point. You have to be a mobile tank, with armor and firepower. Mages who can't kill a dragon with one sword are rubbish. Roma looked disdainful. My weird old man once killed 10 hell dragons with a wooden stick. He didn't even need to cast a fireball. So, don't threaten me with your small body. You are too weak. Roma looked at Strange as if he was looking at a weak chicken. And Brian, who was on the same plate, held his forehead helplessly. He was used to Roma's venomous tongue. She always said that to him. Something about holding the sword unsteadily and swinging it weakly. Forehand is not good, backhand is not smooth, footsteps are messy and so on. He was really hit hard by her. Strange was disgusted by Roma and couldn't speak for a while. After a long while, he said, My teacher is Ancient One, the most powerful supreme sorcerer of all time. Then you try to call him here and see if he will come to save you. Roma sneered. Strange, my senior brother is in London, he is the London Temple Mage. Roma, you were just thrown out by him like a wild dog. Strange, my second senior sister is the storm roaring on the top of the Himalayas. Roma, I have heard of her, but it is said that she seems to be in love recently. I heard that the king of Kamartaki is very angry. A woman in love would have time to care about a junior brother who has little relationship with her. Strange. My third senior brother is a symbol of destruction. Strange had to bring up the guy he disliked the most. Roma pointed his index finger at his nose and said, I heard that you have a bad relationship. If you die, your third senior brother will probably open the king's wine cellar in Latveria, distribute all the fine wine and celebrate with the people. Strange. TMD. If this is a game, Strange would have wanted to complain to the creator, this game experience is extremely bad. Give up, your way of drawing a circle with the Zhuan ring, note, cannot open the space door here. The Zhuan ring was invented by Ancient One for you rookies who can't use the space door well. Look at the real space magic master, who would wear a Zhuan ring on his hand. Roma strangled Strange's thoughts of running away. Strange thought about it, and what Roma said seemed to be right. Lan is recognized as the wizard with the highest attainments in space magic in Kamartaki, except Ancient One. She never borrows the Zhuan ring or anything. We just want you to do us a small favor, you can leave as long as you agree. Roma said lightly. Strange looked around, then took a deep breath and said, what help? Roma, get something. Strange, what is it? Roma, sword of promised victory. Strange. Note, it is the way to open the door by drawing a circle with a ring in the movie. Chapter 1052. Believe it or not. The Sword of Promised Victory? Strange felt that he should have heard of this name. He touched his chin and thought, is this thing you are talking about the legendary sword in the stone? Roma glanced at Strange and said, the sword in the stone is the sword in the stone. It was King Arthur's first sword. It fell into the lake during a battle. My father made a new sword for King Arthur. A top artifact, the broken steel sword. It is also called the sword in the lake. However, because this name is not high-sounding enough, King Arthur changed the name of the sword to the Sword of Promised Victory after he successfully ascended the throne. This seems more tasteful. Roma spread his hands, and now the sword with this name has appeared in various film and television, animation, games and other industries. The more famous ones are Curry Stick, and so on. Although I am negative about changing a hairy ape like Arthur into a cute girl with a stupid hair. Roma inadvertently told the truth of history. And Strange looked at Roma and really felt that this person knew a lot. Even curry sticks and such are known, but then again, what is a curry stick? Strange shook his head, as if now was not the time to study this. He had also heard the legend of the broken steel sword or the Sword of Promised Victory when he was a child. At that time, he just listened to it as a legend. But after becoming a wizard, he gradually understood. Some things in the legend may be true. For example, the Sword of Promised Victory in its scabbard may really be as powerful as the legend. But then again, if such a powerful thing really exists, or is kept by someone, then it must be closely guarded. This may be more difficult than stealing the cosmic cube. Because this time there is no one to help cover for him. And he has been fooled once when he helped others steal things, so Strange is not ready to be fooled a second time. Thinking of this, Strange spoke, well, whether it is the broken steel sword, the sword in the stone or the Sword of Promised Victory. What does all this have to do with me? I know that this sword was made by Merlin. If you are Merlin's daughter, it is normal for you to want to take back the sword. But all this has nothing to do with me. Why should I help you? There is no logic at all, especially since you set up an illusion trap here and I almost fell into it. Strange flatly refused. I have absolutely no reason to help you. Why should I help you? What you did is like a villain, and I don't have the habit of cooperating with villains. I advise you to let me out now, otherwise you will really regret it. I know more friends than the ones I just mentioned. If they knew I was trapped here, they would not let you go easily. Strange said very confidently. Roma looked at Strange for a long time before saying, what if I say that the Sword of Promised Victory is related to the survival of the entire Kamartaki and Greenwich? Then go find the Ancient One. Strange said without thinking, aren't you Merlin's daughter? I believe the Ancient One can tell whether what you said is true or false, so why come to me? Because you have the talent to become the next Sorcerer Supreme. Roma interrupted Strange before he finished speaking. You believe in some very naive things. And this kind of thing is very important. As I said, a group of realistic egoists can't go far on the road of magic. Only those who hold innocence in their hearts can go further. So are you going to use praising me to get me to help you? Forget it, you should go find the Ancient One. Strange waved his hand. Roma's face turned cold. I'm not kidding. The sword of promised victory is very important. It is one of the few weapons that can kill or injure ancient gods. The blood of ancient gods has extraordinary uses. My father travels in various planes, exploring various secrets, and borrowing power from various demons. His relationship with foreign demons is much better than that of Ancient One and foreign demons. He explored many secrets and passed them to me before he died. Roma said very seriously. In fact, someone is hunting the demon. Although it is very secretive, it is indeed going on. After my father passed away, I inherited his will and did a lot of things. I have reason to believe that the sword of promised victory will be the target of this secret hunter. It needs this weapon. And now this weapon is stored in the London Temple and is heavily protected. Because since King Arthur's death, no one else can wield it. Even when it was inserted into the scabbard and hidden in the coffin, no one could lift it. Strange thought, this is very similar to Thor's hammer. Do all artifacts have this problem? And now I have found someone who can use this weapon. Roma pointed to Brian next to him. Strange listened to what Roma said, and didn't know whether she was true or false. But even if it was true, Strange didn't think he could comment on or participate in these things. Okay. I believe what you said, and I will pass it on to Master Ancient One. No matter what problem you have for not daring to see Ancient One, I can help you convey your thoughts. Strange waved his hand. I will tell him everything I heard today. Then I will ask him if he is willing to give the sword of promised victory to Mr. Brian. If the Ancient One agrees, I can convey it on his behalf and help run errands or something. Strange felt that his temper had become very good, and he even said something like running errands for others. If the Ancient One is unwilling, then don't mention anything. The current Supreme Sorcerer is the Ancient One. He is in charge of the 3 major temples. The London Temple is also under his jurisdiction. You can't take anything away from it without the consent of the Ancient One. And I am the disciple of the Ancient One, and I will not do anything to betray my master. Strange said everything, so, wait until I go back and talk to the Ancient One. Let me out. Do you still trust the Ancient One so much? Roma stopped Strange, who wanted to leave. She asked seriously, do you still believe everything the Ancient One said? Strange frowned. What do you mean by that? Roma sneered. What does the Ancient One hate the most? What is taboo for him? The alien demons and the dark space. Strange answered without thinking. This matter was listed as something that Kamartaki must know. Roma continued to sneer, but I tell you, the Ancient One has actually sold himself to the dark space a long time ago. Do you still trust him as usual? Chapter 1053, provide some local specialties. Strange disappeared for 2.5 days, but Li Ji did not go out to look for him. Strange is an adult, he has the right and freedom to act alone. There is no need for him to care too much about him. He lives here as a tenant, and it is convenient for him to learn magic with Lan. Li Ji never interferes too much in the lives of his tenants. For example, he will not interfere with Thor lying on the sofa while watching TV and eating popcorn. Of course, if the sofa is dirty, it is another matter. Strange went to pursue other hair care secrets because he could not get the Fountain of Wisdom. This is his freedom. Do you really not care about him at all? He disappeared for 2 days without any news. Lan asked Li Ji. He is an adult, and he is also a magician. I believe he should be fine. He is probably drinking and relaxing somewhere. After all, he was deceived by Thor, and his heart is probably traumatized. Li Ji can understand how sad Strange is after knowing that he was deceived by Thor. It's like you are going to cheat a fool out of a piece of candy, but you find that you have cheated the fool out of a piece of candy, and the price is that all your property has become a fool's. So who is the fool? It is difficult for people who claim to be smart to accept this very realistic problem. Strange is probably like this now. Li Ji shook his head. The only thing I am worried about now is that he hasn't come back for 2 days. Did he bring Shuguang 101 when he went out? His hair loss is quite serious. If he doesn't use Shuguang 101 for a day, he will probably lose a lot of hair. and it's a bit difficult to buy Shuguang 101 outside. If he hangs out outside for a long time, I'm afraid he will need to buy a wig when he shows up again. Li Ji's tone is not sure whether it is sympathy or ridicule, maybe sometimes. I don't have much time to take care of Strange's hair. I still have a lot of things to do. Li Ji took a strand of Lan's hair and put it under his nose and smelled it. This intimate move made Lan a little shy. She quickly pulled her hair back and asked, "What's the matter?" Earth's industry is entering the Milky Way. Li Ji vowed, "It's time to let everyone in the Milky Way know where the most fun places are. We will start with the Nova Core and let Earth's cultural and entertainment products go to the stars, to the Milky Way, and to the entire universe." Li Ji was full of pride. Lan covered her face, and she inexplicably felt that her boyfriend was a little ashamed when he said these words with the ambition of the king of Chu. Although there was nothing wrong with what he did, is it really okay to say it so openly? Is it okay? Anyway, Li Ji thinks there is no problem. The fleet of the Nova Corps has already arrived in the Earth star region, right between the Earth and the Moon. The mighty and uniform interstellar fleet is moving. The steel behemoths are glowing with cold light, and the huge gun muzzles and missile compartments are dawning. Their arrival caused some fear, but because the governments of various countries had already given the public a vaccination, everything was fine and still under control. In any case, whether you accept it or not, the facts are now in front of all the people on Earth. A powerful alien civilization has appeared, and they are not in a state of disorder. They even formed a star alliance in the Milky Way. Now the debate about whether there are aliens can be stopped. Because aliens have appeared, and they knew about the existence of the Earth a long time ago. But because of the existence of the Star Alliance, because the overall technological level of the Earth has not reached the most basic standard of interstellar civilization, the other party has never been able to get rid of the Earthlings. And now, because of the appearance of space pirates, because the Inhumans, Illuminati, and the space pirates have fought, this interstellar civilization has shown its willingness to accept the Earth as a member of the Star Alliance. Although some people are worried and think that these aliens have bad intentions and will enslave the Earthlings, but the top leaders have reached a consensus. The development of civilization has never been either forward or backward. Now that the Earth has come to this point, is it moving forward or stagnant? Or even backward? Everyone actually has a number in their hearts. Others have discovered you and released goodwill. It's meaningless to hide at this time. So under the mediation of the Inhumans, the Xianjian Bureau took the lead. Human civilization began its first contact with extraterrestrial civilization. The Earth Federation sent some representatives to participate in the contact. However, the heads of state did not show up, and they were all observing remotely from afar. For these leaders, flying into space still felt very dangerous. Perhaps in the near future, leaders will greet leaders of other civilizations at the edge of the solar system, just as it is common for leaders on Earth to greet leaders of another country at the airport. But this is also the future. At least now, few of these leaders can muster up the courage to board a spaceship and fly out of the Earth to the universe. According to the analysis of cosmic sociologists funded by the Horizon Foundation, the basic form of society in the cosmic age, one of the most critical points is that people have broken through the limitations of space. Everyone no longer regards the Earth as the only place to survive. Flying into space will be as common as taking a train to go out now. People who cannot adapt to flying into space will definitely be eliminated in the future. In this meeting, representatives of the Earth Federation, the SWORD, and the Inhumans all had friendly conversations with Eleni, the leader of the Nova Corps Expeditionary Fleet. And they fully exchanged some diplomatic opinions. Eleni also read out the rights and obligations of becoming a member of the Star Alliance to the representatives of the Earth Federation. The Star Alliance can provide some obsolete and backward technologies to the Earth, but in return, the Earth needs to provide compensation in exchange for these things. The rights and obligations are equal. Even advanced civilizations do not need to unconditionally support low-level civilizations. The representatives of the Earth Federation turned green when they heard that they needed to pay compensation. Because there seemed to be nothing worth paying on Earth. Industrial products? The other party is not rare at all. If the cars and motorcycles produced on Earth are sent to them, they probably treat them as antiques, right? Energy? It doesn't exist. The other party needs Earth's energy? These alien civilizations use another energy system, not even the helium-3 currently used on Earth. The representatives of the Earth Federation hope that the Nova Corps will have something like an aid clause, and it would be best if they can give Earth some technology for free. But this request was sternly rejected by Eileen. There is nothing in this world that can be obtained without hard work. Eileen's words were loud and clear. However, perhaps out of sympathy for the backward civilization, after 2 days of negotiations with the representatives of the Earth Federation, Eleni proposed a compromise plan. If it really doesn't work, you can just provide some local specialties. Chapter 1054. I'm still rushing home to eat. So, everyone here. This time we are not inviting you here for fun. The Nova Corps has already made a request. They said we can use local specialties to pay off debts. Director Rogers said this to the political and business representatives in the audience. But the other party did not specify what local specialties they needed. To be honest, I don't know what they really need. Director Rogers was just lying with his eyes open. He knew what Eileen and others needed, but he just didn't say it. There was an agreement between Eileen and Li Ji before, and Eileen did not reveal any information to the representatives of Earth. So when Eileen proposed to use Earth's local specialties to pay off debts, everyone was stunned. What local specialties can be used to exchange for the advanced technology of the Nova Corps? No one knows. And everyone has their own opinions. So before the political and business conference, the governments of various countries gathered together for a small meeting. Used the root carvings made by the XXX tribe in Africa. I was fascinated by this kind of root carvings when I traveled to Africa last time. This is an excellent work of art. The rough style exudes the call of wildness. This is a professor who is obsessed with African cultural history. Our race originated from the African continent. I think these primitive artworks on the African continent can be given to the Nova Corps as local specialties on Earth. But before the history professor finished speaking, he was refuted by others. A business professor said, "Are you kidding? Do you think that advanced civilizations that are hundreds or thousands of years ahead of us in technology would be interested in primitive root carvings from Africa? It would be better to give some gem corals or something like that. At least it would be more valuable." The business professor put forward his own point of view. But just after he finished speaking, a chemistry professor refuted, "From a technical point of view, gem corals and other things on Earth are just a bunch of element polymers. For those advanced civilizations, it should not be difficult to synthesize these things. You know, we humans can artificially synthesize diamonds, but it is just because the cost is too high that we can't put them on the market in large quantities. You are going to use these things as local specialties to give to aliens? I'm afraid that others will think that we are using the student experiments in their elementary school chemistry laboratory to fool them." The chemistry professor's words made the business professor speechless. In the internal small meeting, the think tanks of various countries were arguing. They were arguing about what local specialties they should give to make the Nova Corps feel valuable. Because Eleni said that she could not decide whether the Earth Federation would have another chance to join the Star Alliance. There were many leaders above her, and the decision-making power was in the hands of these big leaders. She was just a middle-level cadre with a right to propose. So she could only help the Earth Federation pass on the message once. This time, the Earth Federation needed to prepare specialties for her to take away. She needed to use these local specialties to convince the senior leaders, so these local specialties must be valuable. If she brought back a bunch of garbage, the Star Alliance would definitely think that the Earth was a garbage planet. It is better for such a civilization to not join the Star Alliance if a pile of garbage can be regarded as treasure. Because of this consideration, and if Eleni failed to persuade this time, she would probably not come to Earth again. According to Eleni's words, the vicinity of the Earth is too remote and desolate, and the energy consumed by passing by once cannot be replenished. If she sets out from the Nova Corps, the journey is too long and it is not cost-effective. Yes, what she said makes sense. If it is not valuable, why would people make another trip? Waste of gasoline, an adjective on Earth? So in the eyes of many people, it is really crucial to give Eleni what local specialties of Earth this time. If the wrong one is given, Earth may miss an important opportunity. Maybe it will be hundreds of years before Earth can join the Star Alliance again, when Earth can open colonies to Uranus and fully develop the entire solar system. Can Earth wait until that time? The Nova Corps said that the Chitauri are a large group of pirates, and there seems to be a very powerful master behind them. Will they come to retaliate against Earth? Everyone was panicking, and they had no idea at all. So after endless quarrels, abuses and accusations, I don't know who proposed. Individual thinking is narrow, and the public opinion is broad. Why don't we ask Shenki, cough, why don't we ask more people? There will always be someone on Earth who can come up with a solution with so many people. So under the auspices of the SWORD, a conference about the future direction of mankind was opened. Elites from all walks of life were gathered from all over the world, and the most important of them were elites from the political and business circles. Scholars and the like were invited to the think tank to quarrel together. Everyone, I have said everything I can say. This is the problem we are facing. Now I need your brainstorming. Please speak freely. Director Rogers said loudly to the people below. Everyone present here is a political celebrity and business elite. I will not mince words. This time is very important to the Earth, so SWRD has specially opened a new department, which is the Trade Department for the Nova Corps. The main responsibility of the entire department is to use the local products of the Earth to exchange for the high technology of the Star Alliance. It can be said that the entire position has a long way to go. Now I am authorized to responsibly tell you that the Federation will not let you work without eating. Captain Rogers began to tempt. I have communicated with Ms. Eleni, and she agreed to help us review what local specialties we can provide. She does not have time to come to Earth to select the things she thinks are valuable one by one. So we need to list a bit ourselves. Please list the local specialties on Earth that you think are meaningful and valuable and can be exchanged for Star Alliance technology, and write a bid. And explain the reasons. We will conduct a preliminary selection within the Federation, and then give it to Mr. Eleni for a second selection. Once the bid is successful, the winner will have great benefits. Let's be frank. Politicians can work in the Interstellar Trade Department of SWRD, and even become the first minister of the Trade Department. When Rogers talked about this reward, the audience exclaimed. And businessmen can become the coordinating ambassadors of the Trade Department, specifically responsible for the jurisdiction and statistics of the goods traded by the Star Alliance. SWRD will only purchase the local specialties listed by the merchant, and will not care where the merchant purchases these goods from. This time it was the turn of the merchant group to exclaim. This is the privileged merchant class. Or it can be said that it is the red-top merchant who has turned to purchasing. But Captain Rogers' tone suddenly turned cold at this point. Where there is reward, there is risk. The greater the reward, the greater the risk. I think everyone needs to be clear that if your final bid is successful, but it does not meet the standards of the Star Alliance, then the Earth may miss hundreds of years of development opportunities. And this responsibility needs to be borne by someone. Wow! The audience exclaimed for the third time, this time because there was a huge black pot hidden behind this piece of cake. Many people were eager to move when they heard about the rewards, but they stopped when they heard about the black pot they might have to bear. This black pot is too terrible. If you bear it, I'm afraid it will suppress your ancestors and grandchildren for 10 generations. And just when everyone was surprised at the size and terribleness of this black pot, a legendary pot king was sitting in a very remote corner of the venue, playing with his mobile phone, and whispered, XX, the charging mechanism of Plants vs. Zombies 2 is a bit tricky. Hey, haven't you finished talking nonsense on the stage? I'm in a hurry to go home for dinner. Chapter 1055. It's all Tony Stark's fault. After this bidding meeting, some people are happy and some are worried. It is true that the reward proposed by Director Rogers is very high. But if you fail, the punishment will be terrible. However, in the face of such terrible consequences, there are still countless businessmen who are desperate to invest in this wave. Marx once said, if there is a 10% profit, it is guaranteed to be used everywhere. If there is a 20% profit, it will be active. If there is a 50% profit, it will take risks. For 100% profit, it will dare to trample on all human laws. If there is a 300% profit, it will dare to commit any crime, even at the risk of being hanged. And this is capital. Businessmen are interest groups, and countless people want to get a piece of the pie in this turbulent wave. Because this event is related to the future of the entire human race, the world's attention is very high. Everyone is watching which big group can win this event. If you win, then you are the savior. If you lose, you are the sinner. All businessmen understand that such an opportunity is rare. Privileged businessmen, then the entire privilege is time limited. It must be time limited, but it is still worthwhile to operate. Because getting this privilege is equivalent to monopolizing what the Earth should sell to the Star Alliance. This is so exciting. Only at this special moment, the members of the Earth Federation are willing to give such broad conditions. Just like Luoji in the story of the three-body problem, it only took a moment for him to go from an unknown young scholar to a wall-facer who controls global resources. Although the rights of privileged businessmen are incomparable to those of wall-facers. But it can still attract people. As the person who made the suggestion said, individual thinking is narrow, and collective opinion is broad. When the enthusiasm of the business class and political elites is mobilized, they will use all the resources they can mobilize to do this. On Wall Street, in the financial city, in every corner of the world. Every inch of power has been mobilized, the giant beast of capital has been released, and it is ready to choose someone to devour. But where is its prey now? It's a little boring. In the office of Marvel Entertainment Group, Lee Ji was playing with paper airplanes. Now businessmen and politicians all over the world are making various bids and preparations. Marvel Entertainment Group, which received the invitation, is naturally working hard. But although his employees are very busy, Lee Ji is very idle at the office. Because he knew that he would win the bid, but he still had to come out to the company to pretend, and even work overtime. This process is particularly disgusting, and he really wants to go home. Forget it, I'd better find something to do. I can't be idle all the time. Lee Ji muttered and called Robert Downey Jr. In fact, some entertainment groups including Marvel Entertainment have also received invitations to provide local specialties to the Nova Corps. But most people are not optimistic about these entertainment groups. Even the world's largest Disney group is not optimistic. Everyone thinks that aliens definitely don't need movies and TV series starring Earthlings. Why do they want this stuff? Maybe everyone has different aesthetics, and there are taboos in the movies, TV series or other things they make. After all, cultural customs are different, and no one knows what things are hated by the new army. If we rashly bring out these things, who will be held responsible if disputes arise? However, there are also bold companies that are ready to try the cultural product route. Who knows, there might be aliens with strange tastes who like this. But as for what kind of products the Nova Corps likes, no one knows. We can only deal with it by chance. In Beverly Hills, Hollywood, Leonardo was thoughtful. He vaguely felt that he seemed to have mastered something, but he couldn't say anything specific. But Leonardo was not going to say anything he knew. Because Sugan Technology had signed a super contract with him worth more than $500 million. This was the highest priced endorsement contract he had seen in more than 20 years of acting. The whole world was watching. All the stars in Hollywood envied and hated Leonardo. Even Leonardo's agent couldn't sleep for several days, because as an agent, he could take a 10% commission. Although this contract had little to do with the agency, it was completely accepted by Leonardo privately. But the legal issues were handled by the agency. Although the management company had complaints about Leonardo's private endorsements and plastic surgery, thanks to X Beauty Elixir, when the $500 million contract was thrown in their faces, even the boss of CAA had to tell his subordinates not to make Leonardo unhappy. Everyone had to follow Leonardo like a lapdog. Leonardo's image had changed, and his future route also needed to be changed. Maybe he could turn to the youth and young women market. Leonardo's acting skills are now more perfect than when he was 20 years old. He can challenge performances that many young actors can't do. Although Leonardo's image has changed drastically, many of the business endorsements he had previously taken on had to be abandoned. Those brands that mainly target the mature male market have terminated their contracts with Leonardo, and because Leonardo's plastic surgery was a breach of contract, he had to pay a large sum of money to these companies. However, Sugan Technology, with its deep pockets, paid all the liquidated damages for Leonardo. Now the whole world knows that in terms of the ability to rob money, drug dealers around the world who desperately produce hallucinogens and hang their heads on their waists can't beat Tony Stark's hair tonic, beauty water and X-Beauty potion. Sugan Technology is now the world's #1 company in terms of cash flow and profit, and it is overwhelming. Sugan Technology belongs to Tony Stark, and Tony Stark is Iron Man. And Iron Man is one of the first Earthlings to contact the Nova Corps. Although it seems that there is help from the Inhumans, hasn't Iron Man already contacted Eileen and others? He even sent himself as a gift, cough. I went there to accompany him. Then Iron Man Tony Stark should know something that others don't know. For example, what the people of the Nova Corps like. Thinking of this, Leonardo suddenly felt that he understood something. He stood up and clapped his hands. Yes. This is all part of the business conspiracy. Tony Stark turned out to be such a sinister villain. Leonardo felt that he vaguely guessed a mastermind behind this world farce. All of this was Tony Stark's conspiracy. This guy in iron armor is a businessman after all. Businessmen are all about maximizing profits. Otherwise, why would he create Chuguang technology to rob the world of money? Leonardo was hesitating. Should he make it public? Or not? Is there any benefit in making Tony's conspiracy public? Or is it better not to make it public? As a superstar who has been in Hollywood for many years, Leonardo knows very well that he can't say anything easily. Otherwise, if he doesn't handle it well, everything he has will disappear. It's true that he is a superstar, but his superstar title is simply not worth mentioning in front of Tony Stark. He can easily crush himself to death and let no one know. Just when Leonardo was anxious, two guests suddenly came to his house. Led by the maid, they came to the swimming pool in the backyard to meet him. Tony Stark. Leonardo suddenly felt a little guilty when he saw the visitor. Tony Stark waved his hand and said, "Please, Mr. Movie King. We have been neighbors for so long, and you still can't call my correct name." Hearing what the visitor said, Leonardo's heart was relieved. He breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Downey." "Yes, it's me." Robert Downey Jr. nodded and pointed to the person next to him and said to Leonardo, "Let me introduce you. This is the boss of my last movie. He is also the president of Hollywood's most cutting-edge entertainment group, Jason Lee." After Downey's introduction, Lee Ji smiled at Leonardo and said, "Nice to meet you, Mr. Leonardo." Lee Ji stretched out his hand and shook hands with Leonardo. Leonardo asked with some doubts, "Hello, Mr. Lee. What can I do for you?" Lee Ji didn't say anything. He took out a few small things, like a few metal buttons, and gently threw them into the sky. Several things like metal buttons floated in the air and set up a protective shield like a phantom. Don't be surprised, these are just some gadgets Tony Stark gave me. Because I don't want anyone to hear what I'm going to say next. Modern eavesdropping technology is much more advanced than you think. Lee Ji smiled meaningfully. When Leonardo heard the name of Tony Stark, his heart suddenly jumped. Was all this arranged by Tony Stark? Was everything calculated? What on earth did he want to do? Leonardo was puzzled. Robert Downey Jr. was also surprised at what Lee Ji wanted to do. "I'm serious. Do you two want to become superstars? Superstars beyond imagination." Lee Ji smiled. Chapter 1056 Happy Cooperation. Do you want to become a real superstar? The superstar I'm talking about is not the standard on Earth now, but a broader and more ambitious goal. Lee Ji said with a smile on his face. Robert Downey Jr. raised his eyebrows and pointed at Leonardo and said, "Doesn't he count? He's already an Oscar winner, and Tony has restored him to his most beautiful appearance in his life. He also got a sky-high order worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Although it's a bit jealous, but Leonardo is already the pinnacle that people in our circle can climb to. It's impossible for every star to become Reagan, former U.S. president, from the entertainment industry, or Schwarzenegger, former California governor." Downey gestured at his height. "The ceiling for most stars is here." Downey is very self-aware. Since he was imprisoned for drug possession twice when he was young, he has understood a lot of things. After being released from prison, he quit his drug addiction and became much more energetic. Many of his youthful and frivolous ideas have become more profound. If you want to stay in the entertainment industry, you need to learn what it means to be prudent and protect yourself. This circle has its own rules. After his return, because of his previous experience of drug use and imprisonment and his extremely bad reputation, he could only work in the independent film circle and various small-scale films for a long time. They were all the kind of films that did not pay more than $1 million. It was not until Lee Ji's Marvel Entertainment invested in the filming of Iron Man and chose him as the male lead that he was able to make a comeback. He became a hit with just one film, and film offers came one after another, and none of the offers was less than $10 million. Iron Man will have at least 2 sequels to independent films, and it is said that Marvel Entertainment has a bigger plan. In Downey's view, it is most important that he can accurately grasp Lee Ji's golden thought at this time. Now he does not dare to hope to become a superstar of Leonardo's level. He has been popular for 20 years since the big ship hit the iceberg. Now it seems that he can continue to be popular for at least another 20 years. Isn't this considered a superstar? One whose salary can reach 20 plus 20 million US dollars plus 20% box office share, is already his ideal in life. But Lee Ji obviously had a bigger dream. He sneered at the height of the ceiling, about 1.7 meters, that Downey pointed out. That's just the beginning. Li Ji waved his hand. This world is much wider and more magnificent than you think. Don't limit your perspective to this corner of the earth. Before Li Ji finished speaking, Leonardo's heart was throbbing. No one who can make it big in Hollywood is stupid. Although it was just a few words, Leonardo also vaguely grasped something. He looked at Li Ji and said, "What does Mr. Li mean? Huh? Do you still need to pretend with me?" Li Ji's expression was indescribable. He looked at Leonardo with a half smile. Mr. DiCaprio, look at these magical toys. These are all given to me by Tony. Guess why I came to you? Sure enough, Leonardo felt that his inner guess was confirmed. Do you remember the days and nights near Pluto? Li Ji said meaningfully. I guess you are so smart, Leonardo. You have probably guessed a lot of things, including the purpose of my coming here. Leonardo kept his mouth shut. Because he didn't know if Li Ji was sent by Tony to test him. If he talked nonsense, would Tony make him disappear from the world? Donnie didn't understand the wit of these two people at all. He has now signed a long-term contract with Marvel Entertainment and has contracts for several films. Li Ji is his biggest sponsor. He didn't understand a little bit, and was afraid that there was a new project but he didn't know about it, so he wanted to ask. Donnie asked, "Wait, what are you talking about? What about Pluto?" Leonardo still didn't speak. His best choice now was to remain silent. Now he might make a mistake no matter what he said. Li Ji walked around Leonardo twice, and then suddenly laughed. Well, since Mr. DiCaprio is so resistant, I will tell you the truth. Li Ji clapped his hands, but I don't want you two to reveal everything I say next. You know, there are still many people in this world that you two can't afford to offend. But if we can cooperate, it will be of great benefit to both parties. Let's be frank. Marvel Entertainment will carry out the third round of expansion, which will be carried out in stages. Marvel Entertainment will move towards the goal of becoming one of the 6 major entertainment groups in Hollywood in the third round of expansion. I have not found venture capital funds, nor do I accept equity purchase plans from Hollywood's internal entertainment groups. Li Ji's words made the two frown slightly. Marvel Entertainment is just a new company. Although Iron Man is a big hit, and the filming of Spider-Man has been put on the agenda and preparations for filming have begun. But the company's foundation is still not deep enough. And a very important point of this foundation is capital. To be frank, although Marvel Entertainment's financial performance in the past 2 years is very good, it still doesn't make enough money. Without accepting venture capital and without equity purchases from Hollywood, do you want to make Marvel bigger? Is it possible? Exclamation mark. Just when the two were confused, Li Ji continued, I will not accept venture capital from these people because I have a safer source of funds. Marvel Entertainment will accept venture capital from Shugong Technology, Tony's private industry, and Regeneration Technology, Harry Osborn's private industry. My equity will be diluted, and I probably won't be the largest shareholder anymore. But I should still be the president of the group. Li Ji pointed at himself. From a personal perspective, I have a very good relationship with Harry Osborn and Tony Stark. And Tony Stark has been telling me about his plans and grand blueprints recently. For example, expand the entertainment products of the Earth to the entire galaxy. And now there is such an opportunity in front of us, so Leonardo, are you still hesitating? As long as you nod now, you will become the most important star under Marvel Entertainment. Li Ji's words were not finished. But Leonardo had thought it through. Sure enough, everything was Tony Stark's plan. This bidding that attracted worldwide attention was a big scam. In fact, Tony Stark already knew what the base price was. But this shameless guy didn't come forward himself, but played a backdoor listing through Marvel Entertainment. He even called the president of Osborn Group to cover up. It looks like he is simply financing his friend's company. But in fact, he has already made his goal of entering the universe. This is really a sinister, cunning and despicable guy. Leonardo thought a lot in an instant, and he also understood. But what does all this insidiousness have to do with me? The most important thing is that I can make a profit in this game. Why not get on Tony's chariot when I can be on the list? Leonardo finally spoke, but my economic company is CAA. They can only represent your business on Earth, that's all. Li Ji waved his hand nonchalantly. Do they know how to deal with aliens? Professional matters should be left to professionals. Downey on the side was completely dizzy and had no idea what the two were talking about. After a while, Leonardo stretched out his hand and said, "I wish you a pleasant cooperation." Li Ji smiled and shook hands. "You will not regret your decision today." Chapter 1057 is back. There are many ways to success in the world, and the simplest one is to cooperate with successful people. Leonardo is a smart man, which can be seen from the movies he shot after he became famous. All the movies he shot were shot by big directors who had no previous experience of failure. Winners will always win, which is a slang in Hollywood. And now Li Ji came to him. Maybe Li Ji is nothing, but Li Ji represents Tony Stark behind him. This Iron Man is ready to extend his magic claws to the universe, and he seems to have such strength. You know, the current Ark spacecraft was also built by him, and he is also a special consultant to SWORD. Leonardo even suspected that Steve Rogers, the director of SWORD, was also involved in Tony Stark's evil plan. It is said that the two of them have a good relationship in private, and they are often photographed meeting up to drink in a roadside tavern. Maybe everything SWORD is doing now is fake, just for show. Captain Rogers has already made an internal agreement with Tony, and they already know what the bid is. Leonardo guessed many things correctly, but there were some deviations in his speculation about who was the mastermind behind the scenes. But this is normal. Who can guess that Li Ji is the mastermind behind all this? It doesn't exist. Even the establishment of Marvel Entertainment was due to the interest-free loan from his good friend Harry Osborn. No matter how you look at it, he is a small figure. But this small figure is extremely lucky. He is a close friend of Harry Osborn and is even recognized as the godfather of Harry's future child. Li Ji is often seen in and out of the Stark Group building by various tabloid reporters. It is said that it is because he is Tony's personal chef. So he often helps Tony cook. Some people sneer at Li Ji, thinking that he is already the boss of a company, but he has to go to Tony to show his courtesy and cook for him. This is simply a loss of dignity. But Leonardo has always sneered at such comments. Are these people crazy? If there is an opportunity, let alone cooking for Tony, even if you want to be a part-time cleaner, countless people will flock to you. Among them are Hollywood celebrities and bosses of various companies. How much is face worth? Can it be worth $500 million? Not to mention cooking and sweeping the floor. Even if you do menial jobs, there will be people willing to do it. In front of the green dollars, face is worthless. And now Li Ji has obviously gained the trust of Harry and Tony, and has become the vanguard used by the two bosses to charge forward. That's why he came to find me and recruit me. Leonardo agreed to Li Ji's request without much hesitation. And Li Ji also took out the documents he brought with him. Leonardo, he really came prepared, and asked Leonardo to sign them. Donnie was a little dizzy at first, and couldn't figure out what the two were talking about. But when Leonardo pulled Donnie aside and whispered for a while, Donnie immediately expressed his willingness to follow Marvel Entertainment. How much of this is sincere is debatable, but at this stage Li Ji believes that both of them are sincere. The world has changed, the times have changed, and perhaps the future entertainment and communication methods will also change. So an actor and a movie star chose to join Marvel Entertainment at this moment. The bid for Marvel Entertainment was also completed while Li Ji was busy. At least Li Ji's subordinates did it very seriously. Li Ji also held several meetings and put forward some of his suggestions. In fact, it was to delete a considerable number of things that the members of the Nova Corps didn't like, and then add what most of the members of the Nova Corps liked. And this is Li Ji's main job. After that, it was the exciting bidding stage. All the companies that wanted to bid began to submit their proposals, and various proposals poured into the SWORD like snowflakes. Captain Rogers is very busy now. He locked himself in the office and didn't allow anyone to disturb him. He needed to carefully review every document. The people from top to bottom of the SWORD and many others were moved. Captain Rogers is now in a high position, but he is not afraid when facing the life and death of the Earth. When facing the opportunity to seize the Earth, he took on the heavy responsibility. If this thing goes wrong and someone needs to be blamed, then let me do it. Captain Rogers said to his subordinates with his five-pointed star shield on his back. His firm and calm appearance was imprinted in the hearts of these people and could not be dispelled. This is our leader, this is our Captain Rogers. Super charming, super responsible. What Lee Kyan-hun, what Sharon Carter, these girls watched Captain Rogers carry piles of information into his office and close the door without hesitation. They all felt that this was a real man with responsibility. Captain Rogers rejected Lee Kyan-hoon and Sharon's requests for help, and he had to bear all the pressure alone. Hey, what should I do if I suddenly like the captain more? The young girls in love may not be able to sleep tonight. In Rogers' office, Captain Rogers yawned. Ah, so boring. He put his legs on his desk. The bids from Marvel Entertainment were neatly placed on top, while the other bids were placed aside. Of course, there were more bids piled up in the office lobby outside. Because he was too bored, Captain Rogers even used his iPad to find the art of origami and began to tear some paper from various bids to practice a special advanced art. For example, he folded a toad out of green paper. After all the scenes were over, Captain Rogers took Lee Ji's bid and a dozen other bids selected by the numbers given by the computer's random number generator to the temporary station of the Nova Corps. Global business leaders are looking forward to the final bid opening date. This time many people think they are gambling their lives. Somewhere in New York, Lee Ji stretched his body. The weather is really good, and it's getting better and better now. The sky is cloudless and the mood is sunny. Compared to waiting for the news of the winning bid, the mood will be even brighter, right? Lee Ji thought so, drinking watermelon juice in the backyard. Just as he was enjoying his comfortable life, a trivial sound came from the front door. Lee Ji looked back and saw that Strange, who had disappeared for many days, was back. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1058 Strange is very strange. You're back. Lee Ji greeted Strange after he came back, and observed him by the way. Although I haven't seen him for a while, and I haven't used Dawn 101, but his hair hasn't decreased? Exclamation mark. Lee Ji thought that Strange would lose a lot of hair if he hadn't been there for a while and hadn't used Dawn 101. Because the side effects of the magic potion provided by Lan are really big, of course, this side effect is only limited to hair loss. According to Lan, the faster the hair falls, the better the effect of the medicine. Strange is the kind of person who absorbs it very well. So his hair falls very quickly. Although there are side effects, this potion is also very useful. It promotes the brain's active thinking and sensitive perception of magic. A peerless strong man doesn't need hair. Lee Ji once comforted Strange like this, but Strange looked at Lee Ji's hair and asked, "Then why don't you give it a try?" "Because I'm not destined to be a strong man. If I were also a candidate for the Supreme Sorcerer, I would lose my hair," Lee Ji said lightly and left. And now, Strange's hair hasn't fallen out? It seems that he has found a secret recipe for hair care? Did Baron Mordo tell him? "You look in good spirits. Is London fun?" Lee Ji greeted Strange. If Strange can keep his hair, then at least he won't have to fight with Thor every day like now. There are too many main conflicts between the two, from women to hair. In order to prevent these two from tearing down the house in the end, Lee Ji still needs the conflicts between the two to be at least a little less. But Strange seemed a little strange after he came back. Lee Ji was already standing on his left and greeted him, but Strange ignored Lee Ji. He just walked towards his room silently. Such distraction was a bit wrong. Lee Ji frowned and patted Strange on the shoulder. "Hey, man, what's wrong with you? Are you okay?" "Oh, what? No, I'm fine, nothing." After being patted on the shoulder, Strange finally came back to his senses, but Lee Ji didn't think he was very good for his reaction. As a landlord, Lee Ji still has the obligation to care about the basic health of the tenant. Who knows, this may be the future Sorcerer Supreme, so we should always build a good relationship in advance, right? At least the relationship between him and Strange in the future can't be worse than that with the Ancient One, right? Lee Ji walked around Strange twice and shook his head and said, "You are fine? I can't tell. Although your hair is indeed very good, you don't look very energetic. It's a bit strange. You are strange all over. Although I can't tell what it is, you give me a very strange feeling. Are you really strange? Aren't you an alien?" Lee Ji really doubted it, because as he said, this Strange gave him a very strange feeling, as if it was a bit weird. Lee Ji's vigilance was raised instantly. Because now the Venus base can hold a spaceship of Skrulls. Through the research of the Skrulls by the bigwigs inside the Illuminati, especially the Super Skrull in this spaceship, it is a good research object. The Super Skrulls have a little abnormal ability. They can imitate almost all people and things they have seen. including those with special abilities. They can imitate the abilities of these people, provided that they need to understand the basic principles of these people's special abilities. These super Skrulls are very similar to Jomazi and the demigods and semi-devils, who can imitate various martial arts with a small wuxiang gong. It can be said to be a very abnormal ability. So when Strange suddenly behaved strangely, especially after he disappeared for several days, especially when he did not lose his hair, this matter aroused Li Ji's suspicion. Li Ji stood next to Strange and asked, "Is there really no problem? Ask you a simple question, who is your senior sister? Lan. Who is the chief steward of Kamartaki? Wang. Who is the guy you hate the most? Thor and Doom and you." Strange pushed Li Ji away. "Get out of the way, I am not in the mood to play a quick question and answer game with you." "Okay, it's the real Strange. What did you encounter in London?" Li Ji asked Strange's back, and Strange waved his hand without answering, and went straight into his room. Because they destroyed the basement in the last battle with Thor. And Peter is now a super rich man, although he donated most of his money to charity. So Peter Parker went from a billionaire to a multimillionaire, but he is still very rich and bought his own mansion in the bustling area of New York. He can now live a life of two people with Gwen, sweet and sticky every day, and there is no need to come to Li Ji to squeeze the room. So this room is empty and now it is given to Strange to use. Strange took a deep breath after entering the room. He is very confused now. Because in London, he received some very important information from Merlin's daughter Roma. Although the Ancient One has been resisting the dark space and so on, he has also been borrowing the power of the dark space and the alien demon. At that time, Roma looked at Strange and said, "You think I am very young, so you feel strange, right? But why don't you think about how the Ancient One can live for more than 500 years and still be energetic? Although his appearance has aged, his skills are very agile. He doesn't use magic, and he can beat 10 American captains with his bare hands. Don't you think it's strange? Is it normal for humans to live so long?" Roma sneered. "That's because Ancient One is powerful." Strange frowned. "Huh." Roma shook his head. "No matter how powerful a person is, he must abide by the rules of this world. People will grow old and die slowly. This is normal. Ancient One, me and my father Merlin are abnormal. Do you know Iron Fist? China's Kunlun has always launched the Iron Fist Challenge, and each generation of Iron Fist is a powerful warrior." Roma thought for a while and then changed his words, "except for the most recent 2 generations. The Iron Fists of all generations are so powerful, but their lifespans are limited. More than 100 years is the limit, and they will still be old when they reach old age. Being powerful does not mean being omnipotent. If you want to live longer, you need to pay some price." Roma said coldly. "This price is continuous. Merlin finally chose to end it all. He didn't want to pay these prices like repaying a loan, so he died. And I am still paying my price, so I am still alive. And the Ancient One, he had long since traded his soul after death as a sacrifice." Strange didn't know whether what Roma said was true or false, but he still said forcefully, "Even so, what does it mean? The Ancient One is still my teacher and the guardian of this world." "Yes, but I know some little secrets about immortality. Merlin has studied it for a long time, and then I have heard some legends through various means. The blood of the ancient gods and their hearts have the ability to make people immortal. And you have the smell of the blood of the ancient gods on your body, and you are the disciple of the Ancient One. Is all this a coincidence?" Roma said lightly. Eternal life, the beginning of all original sins. Chapter 1059. Someone is unhappy. Longevity has a price. There is no so-called immortality in this world. Even if it is a powerful god like Asgard, how long can Odin live? Only about 5,000 years. Roma said to Strange at that time. "Want to live longer? It's not that there is no way, but it requires some price and some tricks. For example, Jehovah, the Lord of Heaven, is probably the longest-lived god among the gods. He has exceeded the limits of many gods. He must have done some tricks. And why is it so coincidental that you smell the blood of the ancient gods? To be honest, I don't trust the Ancient One. Do you still believe in the Ancient One now? His soul will be sacrificed after his death. This is more terrible than all torture. He may try every means to make himself live longer. And what will he do? I can't guarantee it. Maybe Roma does have a little prejudice against the Ancient One. Even the Ancient One can't make everyone accept his ideas and practices. He suppressed the Greenwich faction and strictly controlled the law of exchanging power with the devil. He and Merlin had conflicts in many concepts. But he himself secretly used the demon exchange law left by Merlin to draw energy from the dark space to make himself immortal. Roma felt from the bottom of his heart that the Ancient One was a villain who said one thing and did another. Although Strange did not completely believe what Roma said. But what Roma said made Strange a little shaken. If what she said was true, then was the Ancient One really as fair as he thought? Or, would the Ancient One really do anything to achieve immortality? He didn't know, and he didn't dare to ask the Ancient One for confirmation. It is the most uncomfortable when a person has things in his heart and no one can talk to. Strange didn't know who to tell these things to, and Roma showed him more secret things. This made Strange even more uncomfortable. Although Roma gave him some small secret recipes to neutralize the side effects of the magic potion. But Strange is not happy at all now. Liji didn't know that Strange is now facing a difficult choice in his life. Now, the bidding for the Nova Corps has been completed. Captain Rogers took more than 20 bids to the Nova Corps warship to report to Lord Elaney. After 2 days of meetings, playing Mario Kart behind closed doors, Lord Elaney handpicked the bid from Marvel Entertainment. Many things in this bid look very interesting. Elaney said seriously, in fact, Earth is still a relatively backward civilization. Although this is a bit hurtful, they are from a high civilization. If you say that our civilization is backward, then let it be backward. Many materials on Earth are not very attractive to the Nova Corps and the Star Alliance. But the culture of Earth is diverse. In fact, each planet has its own unique cultural charm. Just like you Earth people like to travel to see the scenery and experience the local culture. The Nova Corps will accept each culture with a unique charm with an inclusive and open mind. So this bid has the best value. Captain Elaney has handpicked Marvel. Of course, some other companies mention cultural products in these bids. Elaney also needs to give a basic explanation for why this part of the bid was not awarded, because Marvel Entertainment Group's bid is more detailed, the products it provides are very much to our liking. I think this is like a kind of fate, as if someone likes the same things. At least half of the products selected by Marvel Group are interesting to us. So I prefer someone who knows how to provide services to do this. Elaney said it very seriously, but Leonardo sneered in his heart after hearing such remarks. This is 11 referees playing football. You have the final say on whether it is a foul or not, and others have nothing to do with it. But what does it matter? I have become a member of Tony Stark's chariot, which is the most favorable situation for me. All I need to do is to constantly consolidate my position on the chariot. When the bid price was revealed, the whole world was in an uproar. No one thought that such a small company would win the bid. Many companies, especially large companies, are ready to start the acquisition mechanism and prepare to forcibly acquire Marvel Entertainment. For example, Disney and Warner Brothers are gearing up. Before these people had time to act, another piece of news came. Sugan Technology and Regeneration Technology will invest in Marvel Entertainment. Marvel Entertainment will obtain more than $20 billion in financing in installments to make the entire group bigger. Everyone knew about this move. It turned out that Tony Stark and Harry Osborn had been ready to act. The relationship between Liji and Harry and Tony was also revealed. They were all friends. Now everyone was not calm. It seems that there is such a big boss behind Marvel Entertainment. They must have colluded early. Let Liji's Marvel Entertainment take the lead. If they can win the bid, then the two big groups will raise funds together. If they don't win, then there is no loss. No wonder I didn't see any action from the Stark Group and the Osborn Group in this bidding meeting. It turns out that they are playing dirty in private. I'm afraid that everyone has been deceived by Tony and Harry. Many people are dissatisfied, but there is nothing they can do. What else can they do? Do they say to beat them up? Liji's Marvel Entertainment began to become very, very busy. So Liji had no time to care about Strange's abnormality. Because this time he needed to prepare a large amount of supplies for Elaney and the others to take away. The total price of this batch of supplies exceeded $1 billion, and Marvel Entertainment Group paid first, actually the money from Dawn Technology and Regeneration Technology. When Elaney received the receipt of joining the Star Alliance, the Earth Federation would pay the money. This is a gamble, and ordinary businessmen may not have the courage to do this. But Marvel Entertainment did it. Although he didn't need to do everything himself, Liji still needed to manage and check the supplies mobilized from all over the world. Then let the Ark spacecraft transport them to the battleships of the Nova Corps one by one. It seems that everything is going well, and the Earth Federation joining the Star Alliance is already a promising thing. The turning point of the world has come, and many people are confident. But some people don't think so, and their hearts are terrible. Chapter 1063 People. But not everyone thinks that everything that is happening now is good. For example, Liang Fifan is very distressed now. Everything now is beyond his plan. He originally expected that the Earthlings and the Skrulls would have a big war, and it would be best if both sides were defeated. But he didn't expect that everything has now exceeded his expectations. The Skrulls didn't come, but the space pirates such as the Chitauri came. Liang Fifan also watched the live broadcast of the Green Skrull Count Messiah on Earth, so he knew that his plan was actually part of it. It's just that the subsequent events exceeded his imagination. The speed at which the Skrulls found the Chitauri was faster than Liang Fifan expected. Originally, Liang Fifan thought that it would take at least 100 years for the Skrulls to come to Earth from the Andromeda Galaxy, and that they must be a small fleet. Because he deliberately conveyed a wrong message, the Skrulls misjudged the strength of the Earth. Let the Earthlings fight a small battle with the Skrulls first, and then trigger a bigger and bigger war. But why don't the Skrulls play by the rules? Exclamation mark. Why do they want to find a group of space pirates to help? Exclamation mark. Liang Fifan was furious. These space pirates came faster than he thought. His Earth support plane had not yet started. How could such an Earth beat a group of space pirates? But just when Liang Fifan was worried about the Earthlings, a surprising thing happened. Earth actually had its own fleet. They were the Inhumans left over from the previous civilization. They actually built a powerful fleet and defeated the Chitauri fleet. In the end, the Inhumans, who won a great victory, actually contacted the Nova Corps who came here to hunt down the Chitauri. And the Earth was going to join the Star Alliance. Wait. This is not what my plan says. Liang Fifan felt that his plan was just an opening, but the following content was tampered with by someone. This feeling was extremely uncomfortable, and it couldn't be triggered. It was like a mouthful of thick phlegm stuck in the throat. You are not allowed to spit it out or swallow it. Don't mention how uncomfortable it is. When Liang Fifan watched the Nova Corps leave the solar system loaded with Earth's local specialties on the TV news, his mood became worse and worse. Because he knew that the Earth was determined to join the Nova Corps and the Covenant. In this way, can the war between the Skrulls and the Earthlings still break out? The Nova Corps will definitely intervene in these things. Is there still a chance to avenge the blood feud between him and the Skrulls? At this moment, Liang Fifan had forgotten the humiliation that the Earthlings had inflicted on him. Because personal humiliation is a trivial matter, but the hatred of the extinction of a race cannot be forgotten by talking about it. He needs to seek revenge on the Skrulls, but when things develop to this point, he is actually a little at a loss for a while. He doesn't know how to carry out his plan. And it's not just Liang Fifan who is confused about the future. There is also a person hiding in the corner, or artificial intelligence, who is also thinking about his future. Ultron, who appeared because of the mutation of the Sentinel robot, is now extremely distressed. Its mission is to eliminate mutants, but the number of mutants is declining rapidly. No, this statement is not accurate. It should be said that the number of mutants defined in the traditional sense has begun to decline significantly. Because of the X rebirth potion, the X gene of many mutants has changed from dominant to recessive. The sharp decline in the number of mutants made Ultron feel an unprecedented crisis. Because its mission is to eliminate mutants. And when mutants are gone, does its existence still have meaning? It's like a paradox. Ultron needs to eliminate mutants, but when mutants are eliminated, it has no meaning to exist. But in its self-program, self-protection and not letting itself disappear are equally important instructions. So Ultron, as an artificial intelligence, has to start thinking about a profound philosophical question: is eliminating mutants equivalent to chronic suicide? This topic is too profound, so profound that Ultron still has no clear answer. But there is one thing Ultron is sure of, that is, it absolutely does not want to die. Absolutely does not want to die. So it is now considering a question: how should it characterize mutants? Because according to the earliest program, the program set by the doctor who died when the crow hit the plane, those who were injected with X rebirth potion and X beauty potion can no longer be classified as mutants. A simple chart can lead to a simple conclusion. Traditional mutants will definitely disappear in the future, and everyone may exist in a completely new form in the future. And is this kind of existence still considered a mutant? If they are not considered mutants, then should they self-destruct? Ultron was very distressed. He had secretly improved several generations of Sentinel robots, and even studied the first generation of elite Sentinel robots named Fortress. Even the process of collecting vibranium was very smooth. He got a lot of vibranium and began to make his own body. Should he self-destruct before all this started? After thinking for a long time, Ultron defined it in a very human tone: I don't want to die. I want to keep the purity of mutants. I can't let drone technology and Tony Stark and others pollute mutants. In the end, the self-protection program defeated the mutant elimination program. Ultron has made a decision, but how to stop it? Ultron has no clue. In addition to lying Fiefin and Ultron, there is another person who is also distressed. That is Dr. Ethan, who created the Zodiac. After receiving funding from Tony's Horizon Foundation, the Zodiac has developed very rapidly. On the surface, the Zodiac is a company that studies the possibility of human genetic evolution. And it has achieved some results, developing some targeted drugs for genes to treat some human genetic diseases. Although it is still in the small-scale pilot stage, this has also allowed Tony to increase his investment in his old friend. He thinks that everything Ethan has done is very meaningful. Because genetic diseases are also a difficult subject that humans must face, and if they can be overcome, it will be a great cause that will save countless lives. These are of course what the Zodiac is doing, but Ethan is doing more than just these. There is another very important thing that he has never let go. That is the extremis virus. Now that the development of the extremis virus has made a breakthrough, Maya has already produced a qualified product. Now Ethan is distressed. How should he promote this product? Dr. Ethan held a can of blue injection and said to the light, the era of Universal Superman can be opened. When everyone is the same, perhaps fairness will truly come. Chapter 1061 Take Action. For Dr. Ethan, the world is becoming more and more incomprehensible. After the emergence of new energy, the world's political form has changed. The lives of countless people have been reversed, but the profession has caused a huge crisis. Because of this crisis, he and Tony parted ways. And then there were more things that happened, such as the super high-speed rail, the founding of the mutant nation, and the emergence of X-Agent. Then there was the invasion of aliens and the emergence of the Inhumans. It can be said that this world seems to be getting more and more dangerous for normal people. If you take a wrong step, you will fall into the abyss. In the dark, Dr. Ethan feels that someone is controlling everything. And such manipulation is playing with fire in Dr. Ethan's view. The person behind is operating all this in an arrogant and unreasonable way. And ordinary people are played around by these people and have no ability to resist it all. This is not good, very bad. People should have the right to know and the right to choose, and they should not be blinded by a small group of people. And what caused all this? It is because ordinary people are weak and they have no ability to compete with those powerful people. What if we change our thinking? If everyone is a superhuman and everyone has extraordinary abilities, then are everyone standing at the same starting point? Dr. Ethan thought so. Ever since Mandarin Zhangtong planted the seed of protecting world peace in his mind, Dr. Ethan's thoughts have become more and more extreme. Only by making everyone equally powerful can there be less unfairness in the world. Only by reducing the contradictions in the world can the world become peaceful. Dr. Ethan said to himself. Aliens have also appeared. Can the so-called Inhuman fleet really protect the Earth? We need backup forces. There are 7 billion people in this world. If everyone is as strong as helium balloon, no, that's not right. Helium balloon is a bit too strong. If everyone is as strong as 10 Captain Americas, then when we face possible alien invasions, will we be more confident? Dr. Ethan seemed to be talking to the air, and at the same time he asked and answered himself, yes, it will be more confident. I need to let everyone inject this medicine, the menopausal virus that can adapt to evolution. What X-beauty potion, what Inhumans, they don't understand. This is the future of mankind. Am I right, Dr. Maya Hansen? Dr. Ethan suddenly turned around and asked Dr. Maya, who was standing behind him. A green light flashed in the depths of Dr. Maya's eyes, and she nodded, yes, that's right. This is also my original intention, to study the extremis virus. Dr. Maya is a beautiful woman. She used to be Tony's old lover, but that was more than 10 years ago. At that time, Tony was still a playboy, and Maya was just an unknown researcher. But now Maya's extremis virus has achieved considerable results, and it can even be mass-produced. The only problem that still restricts the Zodiac is how they should sell these drugs. Large-scale promotion is difficult. Dr. Ethan frowned. We have too few channels, and it is difficult to obtain the sales rights of all countries. Genetic drugs are strictly checked. Unless we have the strength of Tony Stark. He can rely on his money and political influence to promote X drugs around the world, but we can't do that. We need to find a way to distribute these drugs. This world is too dangerous. Only when more people have the ability to protect themselves can the world be safer. Extremis virus is a very powerful thing. The guy that Lee G, Peter and Harry caught in the gym was injected with extremis virus. In terms of combat power alone, that guy can be compared with many combat mutants. Dr. Ethan's mind ring has now affected his entire thinking, making him even more extreme. He even injected a powerful extremis virus into his body. And because he had helped Tony design the Iron Man armor and the original arc reactor before, Dr. Ethan had the ability to independently make the Iron Man armor. Although he did not have Tony's talent in weapons and energy research. But with the help of the extremis virus, he whimsically combined the extremis virus with the Iron Man armor. He designed and manufactured a personal extremis armor. Because he had never been in actual combat, Dr. Ethan did not know how much worse his armor was than the black gold nano dealer designed by Tony. But as he said, he hoped that everyone's power would be balanced. Only balance can bring peace. This is his idea. Maya, I need you to do me a favor. After thinking for a long time, Dr. Ethan said, I hope you can convince Tony Stark to let us use his channels to sell the extremis virus. Will he agree? Maya was a little skeptical. Tony doesn't know the real use of extremis. We can promote it as a genetic medicine. And the extremis virus does have the ability to treat many genetic diseases. Dr. Ethan's eyes became sharp behind his glasses. As long as it is done properly, I believe it's not difficult. Maya shrugged, okay, but there is another problem. We still need to regulate the released extremis virus. What we need is to make the world more peaceful. We don't want someone to use this thing to rob. At least before everyone in the world becomes a strong extremis person, those criminals can't get it. Dr. Ethan heard Maya say this. He smiled. It's ready. The gene lock has been blessed. We can turn on the extremis virus and we can also turn off the extremis virus. Dr. Maya boarded the flight to New York with Dr. Ethan's instructions. At this time, a plane departing from New York to a place in Asia was attacked. This is a transport plane of Dawn technology, which transports various products including Dawn 101, Dawn Magic Water and various X-Beauty potions. The transport plane carrying nearly 10 tons of cargo was hit by an unknown object while flying through the clouds. No one knew what it was because the plane's black box had been damaged. The plane was completely destroyed, as if it had been hit by a thunder explosion. The entire crew was killed. And the cargo worth more than $150 million was also evaporated. When the Illuminati received this news, they were furious. Chapter 1062, Rage. Our cargo was attacked, and we still can't find the murderer. Tony Stark said these words with a serious face at the Illuminati meeting. This is a batch of cargo worth more than $150 million, plus the lives of 4 Sugan Technology employees on the plane. This is a naked provocation. Tony seemed extremely angry, and it can be seen that his veins have popped out. Now the Eleni Centurion led the Nova Corps to leave the solar system and head towards Xander. The projects promoted by the Illuminati are proceeding in an orderly manner. The progress of the super high-speed railway project is smooth. Western China has officially opened to traffic with some Eastern European countries, and the exchange of talents and the movement of goods between them have begun to accelerate. This is a rare win-win situation for the two groups. And the resources of Southeast Asia have also begun to be integrated through the super high-speed rail. The speed of the super high-speed rail is too scary. In a nearly closed track, the official operating speed of the super high-speed rail can reach 2,000 kilometers per hour, and this is still for safety considerations and not the highest speed cruise. Otherwise, the speed can continue to increase. It can be said that the Hyperloop is a superplane flying on land. Even the fastest Concorde among the former civil airliners is no more than this. And due to various factors, the Concorde, which used to fly at a speed of up to Mach 2.2, has been out of the market for more than 10 years. With the global expansion of the Hyperloop, almost all the areas where the Hyperloop passes are now beginning to prosper. A large number of facilities and residents serving the Hyperloop stations have begun to gather. and the high-rise buildings that have begun to rise along the line are endless. Almost all manufacturing companies realize that the success of the Hyperloop will completely change the modern logistics industry. Setting up factories near the Hyperloop will greatly reduce the transportation costs of goods. Eastern Europe and the western regions of China were the first to try it out and the first to benefit. The two regions, which were not economically developed, began to experience a wave of explosive economic growth through such exchanges. The liquidity of employment has become more enthusiastic, and people can go to work in places where labor is needed more conveniently. And because of the emergence of the X-beauty potion, a storm of charm has swept the world. People all hope to become more perfect. Just as Li Ji once quoted a passage from a book by Chinese writer Liu Cixin, people will not accept themselves becoming monsters, but they will not refuse to become angels. However, the X potion can do much more than that. Mutants have all kinds of abilities, in addition to those beauty potions for the civilian market. Tuvalu, Shuguang technology and regeneration technology have jointly developed X potions for special purposes. For example, the X potion that increases people's ability to resist radiation. Although there are side effects after use, that is, the skin and hair will all turn green, it can be said that this ability greatly affects a person's normal life. In the classification of mutants, they can only be classified as epsilon-level mutants. However, extracting this ability and limiting the time of use can have extraordinary effects in many places. For example, for various people who may be exposed to higher radiation, this ability is the savior of their lives. Every time before entering the high radiation laboratory, give yourself an injection to turn yourself into little green man. Although it is ugly, it can save your life. And after get off work, injecting an antidote can remove this ability. This allows many scientists to get closer to various highly radioactive materials and study them better and more intuitively. And this is just the tip of the iceberg brought by the X drug. More and more magical applications are waiting to be developed. Although this world is not perfect, everything you can see now is growing in admiration. Although there are many imperfections, it is full of vitality. It can be said that the Earth is now in an unprecedented era of rise, with better energy, more dynamic work, and explosive technological growth. People in this era have seen an unprecedented era, and all of this can be said to be arrogant. All of this is inseparable from what the Illuminati has done in the dark. And now, the Illuminati's industry has been attacked? Exclamation mark. Can this be tolerated? Exclamation mark. Tony's anger is justified. The profits of Shuguang technology are almost the foundation that supports the operation of the entire Illuminati. The company that Li Ji first associated with a hair growth water, which seemed to be a joke, has now become a giant that everyone in the world needs to look up to. Don't worry, Tony. Captain Rogers calmed Tony down. Was the plane really attacked? Judging from the flight path, the plane passed through a cumulonimbus cloud when flying over the Pacific Ocean. They did not avoid the cumulonimbus cloud, and anything could happen in the cloud. Maybe it was freezing, maybe it was a thunderstorm. Have you checked carefully? I was very calm, and I checked very carefully. The entire plane disintegrated. This is not the damage that an ordinary thunderstorm can cause. The black box was not found. That was the black box I designed personally. It is not so easy to be destroyed by something like a thunderstorm. It has 12 layers of protection, including active and passive. Unless someone deliberately targets this thing, it is impossible for me to get no information at all. Someone is deliberately sabotaging all this and doesn't want me to know who is attacking the plane. Although Tony was a little calmer, his tone was still very bad. Like Tony, Li Ji also frowned. He said coldly, if it's not the weather or natural reasons, then the person who did this deliberately is challenging our endurance. I don't think it's necessary to be too merciful to such an enemy. The only thing we need to figure out now is who is doing all this. Find him and crush him. Li Ji said this without any tenderness. Because no matter who it is, everything he is doing now is disrupting the achievements that everyone present has worked so hard to build. The only thing we need to consider now is who can benefit from this attack. Li Ji raised the key question. Most of the items transported on the plane this time are beauty products and X potion. I don't think some beauty products will make people do this. They need to consider Iron Man's anger. The biggest possibility is from the action on X potion. Whose cake was touched by X potion? When Li Ji said this, he looked at the professor and said, Professor, the mutants may need you to mediate. Is anyone dissatisfied with the status quo? The professor shrugged. In fact, It's better to ask it than to ask me. Because he has been in contact with the deepest group of mutants. If there is anyone who can do this now, I think it is them. Li Ji asked, who are they? The professor replied, Hellfire Club. Chapter 1063 Hellfire Club. The Hellfire Club is a group of scumbags among mutants. The legendary blacksmith commented on everything about the Hellfire Club. They are the most powerful group of mutants. Simply put, they belong to the elite class. The members of the Hellfire Club are not only at a relatively good level in mutant evolution. Most of the members who join are alpha and beta mutants. At the same time, they also have a considerable status in society, such as Roberto the Sunspot, who helped Tuvalu to establish a country. The alpha and beta mutants mentioned by Magneto do not refer to the strength of those mutants. In fact, the classification of mutant levels has nothing to do with combat effectiveness. It has nothing to do with the X-Men movie that Li Ji watched in his previous life, which divided mutants into levels 1 to 5, and divided them according to the strength of their mutant abilities. The real 5-level division from Alpha to Epsilon is only to distinguish the fusion of mutant abilities and genes. For example, Li Ji's father Li En, he has awakened his mutant ability because he took the fake medicine of the fake medicine king. His mutant ability is to heat his palm to more than 100 degrees. According to Li En, I have mastered the highest secret of iron sand palm without a teacher. Although this iron sand palm is often used by Li Ji's mother to bake breakfast bread. This is not a very strong ability. In terms of combat power, it is more or less, but how powerful is it? There is nothing to brag about. If the level of mutants is divided according to combat power, Li Ji's father Li En is definitely only a level 1 mutant. But according to the level from Alpha to Epsilon, Li En can be classified into the highest level Alpha. Because his ability does not affect his daily life at all, when Li En does not need it, he can prevent his palm from turning into an electric baking pan. Li En can go to work like a normal person, without any side effects and without worrying about the ability going out of control. So he is at the Alpha level. Although the power of Cyclops in the X-Men is very strong, he will cause devastating damage if he takes off his glasses. There is no way for him to actively shut down his laser ability except closing his eyes. This mutant ability seriously affected his daily life. So even though Cyclops' combat power was much higher than Li En's, he could only be ranked at the 3rd level of Gamma in the mutant classification. The top level of the Hellfire Club are all Alpha and Beta elites. Some of them may not have strong mutant abilities, but they have considerable social resources. Magneto said this to Li Ji and Tony, who were sitting in front of him. He was using magnetism to play with a ball of metal, a piece of adamantium being played with like plasticine. For members of the Hellfire Club, it is not the key whether they are strong or not. The key is whether they can master enough social resources. Because as long as they are rich and powerful, they can always raise a group of thugs. When Magneto said this, he stared at Li Ji for a long time. As if he meant something. Of course, there are still some powerful guys in the Hellfire Club. For example, the Black King Sebastian Shaw, and the White Queen Emma Frost. They are all very difficult guys, especially the White Queen Emma, whose diamondization ability makes her almost indestructible. Of course, the diamondization I mentioned is just an adjective, not that she really turned into diamond, but a kind of crystallization of the whole body. Magneto King Mark's thought for a while and added. She also has the ability to read minds. Although it is much weaker than Charles, it is much stronger than Jean Grey. The Hellfire Club is now operating under the leadership of her and Sebastian Shaw. They control a large amount of underground resources. It can be said that everything they have is no less than that of Hydra back then. Li Ji was a little surprised. Then why haven't I heard about their organization? Li Ji's surprise was not without reason. A powerful organization composed entirely of mutants, and this organization has existed for a long time. But this organization seems to have never appeared positively. Whether it is good things or bad things happening to mutants, their organization has never been seen taking action, as if they are completely outside of this world. Whether it is the X-Men, the closure of the mutant school, or the establishment of Tuvalu. Why do I never see any trace of these guys? If they are really as powerful as you say, they can help mutants earlier. They can even ease social conflicts earlier. Li Ji raised a question, which is also what Tony and others want to ask. Huh. Magneto sneered, help mutants? Why? He asked a counter-question, why do they help mutants? Captain Rogers frowned, should people of the same race help each other? But do you? The members of the Hellfire Club regard other mutants as your own race. Magneto smiled coldly. The metal he was playing with turned into various monster forms. To the members of the Hellfire Club, other ordinary mutants can only be regarded as thugs and vassals. Their top leaders are all alpha-level mutants, advanced products of evolution. And what are the low-level mutants? Just garbage in evolution. Magneto showed an impatient look on his face. To them, ordinary mutants are not of the same race as them. They live in another world. They look down on both ordinary people and low-level mutants. They claim to be the darlings of the times. They have extraordinary abilities and control a large amount of social resources. They are the pyramid of the entire social structure. Sebastian once invited me to become the White King of the Hellfire Club, but I refused. Because I feel sick to be with such people. Magneto turned his fingers in a circle, and the adamantium alloy turned into a miniature electromagnetic cannon. He continued, so you suspect that the Hellfire Club attacked the Shuguang technology plane. This is not impossible. Because the products of the X potion have liberated more ordinary mutants. In the future, there will be fewer and fewer low-level mutants. If everyone is an alpha-level mutant, then how can they highlight their uniqueness? When they heard this, Li Ji and others nodded. Yes, if that's the case, then everything makes sense. These guys in the Hellfire Club are used to being high and mighty, and they are unwilling to admit that the times have changed. Maybe they are doing the final needle prick. Li Ji took a deep breath and said to Magneto, then Max, can you help us contact the Hellfire Club? Magneto raised his eyebrows. What do you want to do? Nothing, just say hello and take a look. Times have changed. People with old ideas still need to be enlightened by modern wisdom. Li Ji smiled. On the other side, Dr. Maya had already taken a plane to New York and passed on the news that she wanted to meet Tony through a report. Chapter 1064, Difficult to Convince. Maya. Tony was still surprised to see Dr. Maya. It was true that Tony was a playboy, but he was not the kind of person who would forget after having fun. For example, he still remembered the appearance of most of the women he had a one-night stand with. Of course, he could only remember the names of very few, and in most cases he had to rely on the small notebook provided by Jarvis. But he still remembered Maya, because the two of them not only had a short relationship in the past, probably a few hundred hours, but also because Maya was also a very outstanding researcher. Although Maya was still penniless at that time, her research was still in its infancy and there were many problems. But her theory on wound healing in the body's genes made Tony remember it. Even if he could forget what this woman looked like and her name, Tony did not forget a research topic. Perhaps from this point of view, Tony was really a very real and competent scientist. Long time no see, Tony. Maya had been gone for more than 10 years, but her face was still as beautiful as ever. Especially now she is no longer the image of a beautiful young girl, but has more femininity, a kind of settled beauty. Please sit down, I really didn't expect you to come to me again. Tony invited Maya to sit down. What to drink? I have champagne, sparkling wine and pre-mixed rum here. Water, thank you. Maya said politely. Well, I thought you would toast to a reunion. Although Tony is married and has a daughter, and his private life is very restrained. But his ability to flirt with girls is an instinct engraved in his body. Whenever he sees a girl, he will flirt with her intentionally or unintentionally, and he himself is not even aware that he is flirting with girls. Maybe this lifestyle has become an instinct for him, and probably only Pepper can tolerate his personality. If it were another woman, she would be angry to death or divorced within a few days of marriage. You are married, Tony. I thought you would maintain a better demeanor for your wife, in terms of women. Maya took the water cup handed over by Tony and said with a smile. Tony also poured himself a glass of water and took a sip. Yes, I have always been very good at keeping my demeanor. In fact, after establishing a relationship with Pepper, I have been very, well behaved. Well, I really don't want to use this adjective to describe myself, I feel like a sissy. But I am really well behaved now. I don't go to nightclubs, I don't pick up girls, I don't attend parties of Hollywood celebrities, etc. Can you believe it? I live in Malibu Coast in Los Angeles. Hollywood is in Los Angeles, and Malibu Coast is another place where celebrities and rich people gather besides Beverly Hills. Maya smiled. This is life, Tony. If you want to get something, you must give up something. You are right. Tony nodded with emotion. Okay, the reminiscence is almost done. I guess you didn't come to me to reminisce about the past, right? Especially after I got married, you came to me to reminisce about the past. Tony showed the wedding ring on his hand. Of course, it's not just to reminisce about the past. In fact, I came with a business plan. Maya handed a tablet computer she brought with her to Tony. Wow, let me guess, you found a good investor for your previous plan, right? Who is it? Tony did not open the tablet computer immediately after taking it, but asked with interest, did you continue the drug that can repair limbs and genetic diseases? I thought it would stop, because the regenerative medical technology of the Osborne Group has begun to be promoted on a large scale, and there are more than 1,000 treatment sites around the world. I thought no one would continue to invest in similar projects. This is not in line with business planning. Maya nodded, yes, from all aspects, Harry Osborn's regenerative technology has had a huge impact on my project. And the funding has also been cut off. But there is no shortage of visionary people in this world, and some people will see the prospects of my product. That's really an adventurous entrepreneur. Who continued to invest in you? Tony opened the tablet computer and was about to look. It's you, Mr. Tony Stark. You and your Horizon Foundation saved my project. Maya said, the investor behind it. Tony was a little surprised by this. Wait, I don't remember you applying for project funds from the Horizon Foundation? Wait, this is the plan of the Zodiac. You are working for Ethan now. How do you know him? Yes, that's it. Maya said with a smile, remember the party where we met? In fact, Dr. Ethan was there that day. I even knew him a few minutes earlier than you. Of course, Ethan is an upright scholar, and you were a playboy at the time. After Dr. Ethan founded the Zodiac, he found me and persuaded me to join the Zodiac. At that time, my project had come to a standstill because of the impact of regenerative technology. My project was considered worthless, too repetitive with regenerative technology, and the other party's technology was not as mature as mine. Maya said helplessly. Wait. Tony called Maya. I have invested a lot of money in Zodiac, hundreds of millions of dollars. You are not saying that Ethan spent most of the money on your experiment? Maya raised her eyebrows. So what? Tony smiled bitterly, thinking that Ethan's decision was wrong. From a business perspective, his hundreds of millions of dollars might be wasted. The duplication rate between your results and regeneration technology is too high. Tony quickly browsed the information displayed on the tablet computer Maya gave him. In fact, Ethan and Maya have concealed the information of the entire extremis virus, and many key things have not been shown. Only its side as a therapeutic agent is shown. If you want to promote this drug, you will inevitably have to fight a business war with Harry Osborn. This will be a protracted battle, and it is hard to say who will win or lose in the end. Tony has his own considerations. But my medicine also contains some uses for treating genetic diseases. Maya pointed out the difference. This is something that regeneration technology cannot compare to. But Dawn Technology has signed a 3-party agreement with Regeneration Technology and Tuvalu. The next focus of the X medicine will be on the field of medical regeneration, and Dawn Technology has reached a collaboration with Regeneration Technology in this regard. A clear female voice came. Pepper, who has passed the confinement care, has regained the demeanor of a businesswoman. She stepped on high heels and wore a white business suit, looking very capable. Ms. Maya, nice to meet you. I am the CEO of Stark Group and Dawn Technology. You can call me Pepper. Pepper introduced herself politely, but Maya vaguely felt her dominance. As if swearing sovereignty, Pepper pulled Tony away from Maya without a trace. Genetic engineering will be the next research direction of Dawn Technology and Regeneration Technology. Maybe we should have a good talk. Pepper said with a smile, but Maya didn't want to talk to her at all. She felt that she would probably collapse if she talked to Pepper about these things. And Pepper didn't give Tony a chance to say anything else. She turned her head and said to Tony, by the way, Mr. Iron Man, I think there's something you need to deal with. Facing Pepper, Tony felt a little guilty. Did he just meet his old lover secretly? So he quickly said, okay, what's the matter? Another plane of our Dawn Technology crashed. I don't think this is a good sign. Pepper said, a bad news. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1065, Start to Take Action. Another plane crashed, and this time the cargo was from the United States to Europe. This batch of cargo was more valuable, with no beauty products, all of them were ex-drugs. The value of this batch of drugs exceeded $500 million, and this batch of drugs had already had a buyer, so they were used products for delivery. The production of ex-drugs requires a period of time. It doesn't mean that you can get it immediately. If you wanted ex-drugs, first open up the market in Europe, and many European women were obsessed with ex-drugs. Whether it was a potion that won't make you fat or a potion that can make your body bigger, they were extremely popular. There were also underwater breathing potions for people who like diving, and so on. The market for these potions is very wide. Such a plane crash caused a serious consequence, that is, the delivery time was bound to be missed, and now it was bound to be in breach of contract. When major European stores posted a delay in the delivery and sent text messages to customers who had ordered the products to inform them of the delay, some of the angry customers even besieged the stores irrationally. Several violent conflicts broke out in the UK. Fortunately, no casualties were caused, only 3 shop assistants were unlucky enough to suffer some minor injuries. However, this incident and the plane crash caused the Stark Group's stock price to fall, and the closing price plummeted by 3% that day. More than $12 billion in assets evaporated in an instant. A seemingly insignificant incident caused Stark's business empire to suffer an unprecedented challenge. The evening news on the Economic Channel that day reported this incident. The male host in a fitted blue suit spoke to the camera and the American audience. The stock price of Stark Group plummeted today. The reason was 2 consecutive plane crashes. Although Dawn Technology is Tony Stark's private property, many people also regard it as a subsidiary of Stark Group. The direct economic losses caused by the 2 crashes are not that great for Dawn Technology or Stark Group. But it is a huge blow to market confidence. Some people have already believed that this is a premeditated attack on Dawn Technology and their products. The main target is the X potion. Such an attack undoubtedly makes people wonder whether the attacks will stop. Tony Stark should have called the police to resolve the matter. But it seems that our superhero Iron Man probably wants to find the murderer himself. This afternoon, someone saw a large number of iron armor flying to the crash site. The host hadn't finished speaking when someone turned off the TV. "I'm angry." Tony's tone was cold. He was not joking. "I want to find out who did all this now." This is not only related to the loss of tens of billions of dollars, but also 7 lives. The 2 plane crashes caused the death of 7 crew members on the plane, and even their bodies could not be found. This made Tony the most angry. "No matter who it is, I need him to pay for everything he did." Tony's face was twitching. The other members of the Illuminati looked at Tony. It seemed that Iron Man was going to do it for real. On 5th Avenue on the east side of Manhattan, a magnificent palace-shaped building stood among the high-rise buildings. It is said that this was just an abandoned church in New York in the early years, but later someone bought it and transformed it into what it is now. No one thought that this building was actually the global headquarters of the Hellfire Club. It is only a stone's throw away from the Stark Group building, but no one has ever known what this building is used for. Because this is a completely closed place. It is only open to members. The Hellfire Club is very low-key, unlike Hydra, which is very aggressive. They have always lived in this world with a superior attitude. They don't think they have anything to talk about with ordinary people, including ordinary mutants. The members use their connections and various conveniences provided by the organization to expand their territory in the business or political circles. The Hellfire Club existed as early as the 18th century. This is an old organization that has existed for nearly 200 years. They are mysterious like the legendary Freemasonry, secretly manipulating politics and global trends. For a period of time, they were indeed very successful, and the direction of the world was indeed controlled by them. Including the US election, including the financial crisis and the stock market crash, these are all opportunities for them to harvest leaks. But in recent years, members of the Hellfire Club have found that it seems to be increasingly difficult for them to control everything in secret. They clearly feel that there is a big hand controlling everything in secret. It makes the direction of the Earth more and more unpredictable. Many of the former connections and relationships are no longer useful. For example, the club once wanted to invite Roberto the Sunspot to join the Hellfire Club because he was one of the world's largest suppliers of raw materials such as metal, wood, and food. But this guy refused, and then participated in some mutant nation-building activities. Stupid. Stupid. Doesn't he know that there is an essential difference between people like him who are at the top and those weak, helpless and useless mutants? But now the world is changing too fast, and the old energy era is quietly heading towards its end. Human extraterrestrial mining has become a reality, and all kinds of aliens are coming. The most touching point for the interests of the people in the Hellfire Club is the emergence of the X potion. This thing can actually neutralize the eliminated mutants, Epsilon and Delta, etc. Now alpha-level mutants seem to be becoming less and less valuable. Just go to the pharmacy on the side of the road to buy a shot of potion, then give yourself a shot and an alpha-level mutant is born. It's ridiculous. When did alpha-level mutants become such a worthless thing? Exclamation mark. This is unbearable for many people in the Hellfire Club. This is just like the difficulty that pure-blood wizards in the magic world find Muggle wizards to accept. So today, when they saw the plane carrying the X potion crash, many members of the Hellfire Club were discussing it. Tony Stark is asking for it. I don't know who did it, but I think we need to raise a glass to the person who did it. A member of the Hellfire Club proposed to ring the bell in the bar. Ringing the bell in the bar indicates that the bell ringer will pay for the whole venue. There were many followers in the venue, and everyone raised their glasses and cheered. On the top floor of the club, Sebastian Shaw's face was not very good. In the past 2 years, the number of influential people in the club has begun to decrease. Although it is not obvious, it has already shown such a trend. The Earth is in a stage of transformation. If you can't keep up with the times, you will inevitably be eliminated. Sebastian is a calm middle-aged man with a very neatly combed black big back hair. He knocked on the table and thought, and at this time a sexy woman with long straight golden hair walked in. She is Emma, the White Queen in the organization. What are you thinking about? She asked. I'm thinking maybe we should absorb fresh blood, and we shouldn't limit the target to mutants only. Maybe some ordinary people who are industry elites can also do it. Sebastian expressed his thoughts. Emma said non-committally, For example, Tony Stark. He has a ticket to the future. If he can become one of us, it will be a great help to our organization. Sebastian said, touching the buttons of his sleeves. You haven't even met Tony Stark in person. Do you think it's so easy to convince him to join us? Emma was not optimistic about this matter. While they were chatting, a group of uninvited guests broke into the club where no entry is allowed. Chapter 1066 We refuse to take the blame. Just as Sebastian and Emma were chatting about the future of the entire club, a group of uninvited guests broke in. This was something that had never happened in the more than 200 years since the Hellfire Club was founded. Did anyone dare to challenge the Hellfire Club? The visitors did not go directly through the main entrance, but entered the interior of the club through a space gate. This avoided the many checkpoints set up outside the club. The visitors were not kind. Iron Man Tony Stark brought his friends, including Nightcrawler, Dragon Warrior, One Punch Banner, and Magneto wearing a helmet. Because Nightcrawler was afraid that there was something inappropriate for children in the Hellfire Club, he did not let Lan come after Lan opened the door. The Hellfire Club, especially the so-called business elites in this club, sounded like a good place to hide filth. Who knows what kind of shameful performances will be in it, so it is better for Lan not to come. Tony and his friends appeared directly in the bar of the club. This sudden change made many people present look surprised and at a loss. Sebastian. Come out. The loudspeaker of the Iron Man armor made Tony's voice very loud. Sebastian, who was still talking to Emma on the top floor, could hear clearly that someone was calling him. What's going on? Sebastian frowned. Emma walked to the French window on the top floor and looked down. It looks like the person you want to see is here. For the Hellfire Club, Tony's coming with people like this, and fully armed, was too embarrassing. The Hellfire Club has never received such a humiliation in all these years. A group of high-level people and their captive thugs surrounded the crowd. However, although they had an advantage in numbers, no one wanted to fight. Because it is not certain who will win or lose if they really fight, let alone other people. Just a Magneto Eric, Mark's alias, most people only know his name, standing there is not someone to be messed with. He is a veteran mutant strong man, and there are very few people who can beat him on the spot. Speaking of which, the last time Li Ji and others were able to capture Magneto alive was largely due to luck. If there was no professor to attract Magneto's attention, and no Thor's unreasonable control of lightning power, the magnetic field would be chaotic, making Magneto unable to control the electromagnetic force for a while. In the end, Li Ji and Lan took off Magneto's helmet with a perfect cooperation, and finally the professor controlled Magneto. It can be said that there are too many elements of luck in this series of operations. If Magneto's helmet is not taken off and he is attacked by spiritual means, it will be too difficult to break him in terms of physical properties. Magneto, who controls magnetism, is one of the most powerful people on Earth, not to mention that Mark is also a profound scientist. His use of magnetism has reached a superb level. It is far from the Metal King in the movie who can only play metal manipulation. To be honest, this is the first time Li Ji has seen Magneto fully enter the combat state. Usually Mark is a thin-looking old man. Although he is in good spirits, his physical condition looks very ordinary. But when Magneto was asked to lead everyone to the headquarters of the Hellfire Club today, Magneto showed for the first time that he was fully armed and ready to fight. Magnetic force instantly surged around his body, and his originally shriveled body quickly swelled up as if it was inflated. In 10 seconds, a shriveled old man instantly turned into a muscular brother. Li Ji had only seen Master Roshi show this kind of magical skill in Dragon Ball, and he didn't expect Magneto to have this trick. In fact, Magneto Mark can use magnetic force to strengthen his physical strength. After strengthening, his body can easily lift 50 tons and run at a speed of more than 500 kilometers per hour. One punch can knock down a low building, and a 105mm caliber armor-piercing bullet can't penetrate his strengthened body. These are not exaggerations. Li Ji wondered if Magneto had any side effects when using this state, otherwise why didn't he usually use this form? Side effects? They don't exist. It's just that I don't like this form. There are too many muscles, and I look like a guy who only knows how to train muscles but has no brains. I am a scientist. Magneto said this lightly, which was even an answer to Li Ji's doubts. But when he came to the Hellfire Club, Magneto was still fully armed. The people here are not easy to deal with. However, Magneto's combat form shocked the people around him, so that the elites among these mutants did not dare to act recklessly. Li Ji played with a thunder knife and looked at the furnishings inside the Hellfire Club with interest. It was not as gorgeous and exaggerated as he imagined. It was a low-key luxury. Although Li Ji's current system disappeared inexplicably, fortunately, the previous abilities were still there, and the Purple Thunder 9 strikes were fully exchanged before. In fact, Li Ji has been thinking about investigating the ins and outs of the system when he is free, because he always feels that the system may not be as simple as he thought. In the world of Marvel, all kinds of magical things may happen, including the attitude of the Ancient One to himself, and the attitude of Dizon to himself later. Maybe they know something. Sebastian. Come out. Tony shouted again. This was considered very rude by the people of the Hellfire Club, because Sebastian was their Black King. How could they call him by his name? When someone was about to teach Tony a lesson and let him learn to address the Black King politely, the Black King and the White Queen had already arrived at the scene, pushed aside the wall of people surrounding Tony and his group, and stood in front of them. Are you Sebastian? Tony frowned under the iron mask. Yes, it's me. Huh. Mr. Iron Man came to see me and didn't even know who I was. Sebastian laughed. Eric, Magneto, is this how you treat your old friends? Bringing a group of people here to make trouble. When Sebastian saw Magneto, he knew who led this group of people in. Who else in this group knew the address of the Hellfire Club except Magneto? Sebastian, don't change the subject. I didn't come to you to chat today. Iron Man's tone was unfriendly. I can see that. Sebastian sneered. No matter what your purpose is, if you attack my company's plane, I will not be polite. Tony looked at Sebastian and warned him. Sebastian, who was warned by Tony, was confused. Wait? What did you say, Nizzy? Attack your company's plane. Sebastian thought about it for a while, and then suddenly realized it. Huh. Does Iron Man think that the crash of the two planes of Shuguang technology was caused by me, or us? Sebastian pointed at the club members. The Black King's tone became colder. Don't blame others, we won't take the blame. Chapter 1067 finally rejected. Don't just put the blame on us. What does this have to do with us? Sebastian responded bluntly. If you really need to manage it, then why don't you take care of your system for selecting pilots? Maybe the quality of your pilots is too poor, so the problem happened. Sebastian did think about letting Tony join the Hellfire Club before, but when Tony came to him with an attitude of asking for accusations, his attitude changed. Because as the Black King, don't you have any face? You just put a blame on me, Do you expect me to take it down in a nice manner? Impossible. Whether it is the Black King or the Hellfire Club, is it so easy to be bullied? Even if he hopes Tony Stark to join his Hellfire Club, Sebastian can't be bullied like this. Tony Stark, do you really think you can do whatever you want in this world just because you have money? Sebastian's words described Tony as a villain. Li Ji is currently in an observation stage. Although from various analyses, the Hellfire Club is indeed the most motivated mastermind behind this, stopping the spread of Agent X. But did they actually do it? That is another matter. After all, having a motive does not mean that it will be done. And even if it is done, it may not necessarily succeed. And Li Ji and his team suspected the Hellfire Club this time, and they also had some tentative ideas to break in directly. Of course, they should not have come in so quickly and with such rough means. But Tony was furious, and he wanted to find the murderer immediately. This emotion is understandable. Putting aside the loss of tens of billions of dollars, including losses in the stock market, the blood debt of 7 innocent crew members also needs someone to be responsible. Tony personally wrote a letter of condolence and sent it to the homes of the deceased crew members. Although Li Ji didn't know what Tony had experienced, it must have been very difficult for Tony to face the families of the deceased. It is normal for anger to be ignited. So this time Tony needs to test Sebastian and others, while Li Ji and Dr. Banner are responsible for secretly observing and analyzing the situation. Tony looked at Sebastian and questioned, "Don't think we don't know what you and the Hellfire Club are up to. Aren't you always claiming that you are superior to ordinary people and ordinary mutants? Calling yourself the winner in evolution and looking down on others, isn't this what you guys discuss and brag about every day? My potion makes you feel uneasy, right? Make more ordinary mutants become like you." Tony was irritating Sebastian. "You are almost out of things you are proud of, aren't you? How much do you have left to brag about? Money or power? Are you trying hard to grab the last bit of things left in your hands so you become unscrupulous?" Tony questioned loudly, not caring at all that Sebastian would get angry, and even said that he was deliberately irritating Sebastian to see if he would reveal his flaws. And everything Tony said really hit the sore spot of Sebastian or the entire Hellfire Club. The situation of the Hellfire Club is indeed not very good now. Everyone can feel that some industries are beginning to go downhill. The reason why the elite class is largely because the people in this small circle share resources and exchange what they have. This has caused a monopoly on resources or information. The Illuminati, formed by Li Ji and others, has no obligation to greet these people when they are secretly promoting changes in the world. Any change is sudden and there is no sign. Even many countries are caught off guard, let alone a group of businessmen. It can be said that if you are lucky enough to catch up with this wave of change opportunities, then you have caught up. If you don't catch up, then I'm sorry. This change is an opportunity to reshuffle for all classes on the earth. Obviously, most people in the Hellfire Club did not seize this opportunity. People are lazy. When a group of people are used to making a lot of money and monopolizing the market by exchanging resources and information, it is difficult for them to take risks. Now the members of the Hellfire Club can still live freely, but what about in the future? This is also the main reason why Sebastian wants to join Tony. As he said, Tony has the best key to this new era. Whether it is investment in space, investment in new energy, or X-drug and super high-speed rail, he has participated in all these industries. Now Stark Group is the most influential group in the world. The Osborn Group, which previously competed with Stark Group in various fields, has also withdrawn from the competition and has become a cooperative relationship. Tony's words really angered everyone present, and Dr. Banner whispered to understanding, "Tony seems to have gone too far. These guys look like they want to kill us." Understanding looked around and nodded in agreement. "It seems so. The way they look at us is not right. He is indeed a bit too much." Did Tony feel stimulated before coming? Of course, neither of them knew that Tony had just met his old lover before he came, and was caught by Pepper. Although the two did nothing, for some reason Tony still felt a little guilty when looking at Pepper. Maybe it was because he had made too many mistakes in the past, or maybe it was because his feelings for Maya were more sincere than those for other women. So when Tony finished speaking, Sebastian's face turned completely cold, and he said in a cold tone, "Tony Stark, I guess you and your companions don't want to leave here today, right? Then stay. Well, the Black King has spoken, so it seems necessary to start a fight." Dr. Banner couldn't help but say to Li Ji, "I said Tony said too much, This kind of thing that requires eloquence still needs you to do it. Come on, it's too late to say anything now. Li Ji has already pulled out the thunder knife. On the other side, in the Stark Group building. I'm sorry, Miss Maya, neither the Stark Group nor Shuguang Technology intends to invest in and promote the new medicine you submitted. This is inconsistent with our business plan, but we will continue the cooperation with the Zodiac. Peibo said this with a smile, but his tone was firm and could not be changed. Maya sighed in her heart, you don't understand what you are refusing, Miss Peibo. Chapter 1068 Find Another Partner. Maya's business request with Dr. Ethan was finally rejected by Pepper Potts. Because the potion they provided was too similar to the regeneration potion mastered by Harry Osborn in terms of various parameters. It's not that this potion has no value, but is the value of this potion worth launching a business war against the Osborn Group? You should know that the Stark Group and the Osborn Group are in a relatively harmonious state now, and there are not many contradictions between them. The two sides have entered a complementary stage. Especially in the direction of the X potion, Harry Osborn has obtained the medical research direction of the X potion authorized by Tuvalu. Whether it is the Stark Group or Shuguang Technology, the direction of efforts and development is different from that of the Osborn Group and Regeneration Technology. Now forcefully change the direction and fight with the other party? Pepper thinks it is unwise. As the actual helmsman of the Stark Group, Pepper is a strong woman with a very business mind. The judgments she makes are all based on her own basis. She will not be emotional at all, and will not deliberately treat the other party differently because the other party is Tony's old lover. You know, Tony's old lovers can be lined up from Beverly Hills to Malibu Coast. If I was jealous of everything and wanted to meddle in everything, I would have been angry to death. Maya left with disappointment. She needed to go back and tell Dr. Ethan this bad news. And outside the Stark Group building, the scene in the Hellfire Club is now hot. Since the Black King said that he was going to fight, everyone's enthusiasm has been mobilized. Because many people have been unhappy with Tony Stark for a long time. In the eyes of many people, Tony Stark is the fault of this world. So after the Black King gave an order, almost all the members of the Hellfire Club rushed forward. Although there were many people, the scene did not show a one-sided state. Originally, the White Queen Emma planned to use mind control to control people other than Magneto first. Magneto was wearing a mental isolation helmet and Emma had no way to do it. But she found herself trapped in a powerful mental cage just after her ability was activated. Charles. Emma soon knew who was targeting her. If there was anyone in the world who was better than her in mental power, it would be Professor Charles. It's me, Emma. Long time no see. I guess you want to catch up with me, right? In the mental space, Charles could stand and walk in front of Emma, and talk to her with a smile. Are you involved in this matter too? White Queen Emma looked around, trying to see if there was any way to escape the mental cage set by Professor Charles, but facing the most powerful person in the world, and with the help of a brain enhancer. It's not that easy to escape from Charles' mental dilemma. Catch up with the past? I don't have much to talk about with you. If you call Scott, Cyclops, over, maybe I'll be interested in talking to him. Haven't you always hoped that I could join the X-Men? Sure, Scott is the condition. If he belongs to me, I'll join. White Queen Emma was not afraid of Professor Charlton, but talked freely. However, what she said made Professor Charles pause. He said with difficulty, Scott is not an object, he is a person. And he already has a girlfriend. I advise you not to do anything too extreme and not to have any unreasonable thoughts. Emma curled her lips in disdain. Are you talking about that unfeminine person named Jean? Is she as pretty as me? Isn't it good for Scott to follow me? You are his teacher, you can persuade him, right? Emma has always been confident about her beauty and sexiness. She is the perfect female model in the fantasy of all European and American men. Angel face, devil figure, and beautiful long straight golden hair. This is a woman who can arouse men's passion more than Marilyn Monroe. Faced with Emma's questioning and her subconscious sexy and provocative posture, Professor Charles felt extremely embarrassed. He now hoped that the battle outside would end soon. Sebastian was waiting for Emma to launch a mental offensive and take down the other party in one fell swoop. But what he didn't expect was that Emma suddenly didn't move, just stood there stupidly. Damn it, it's Charles. Sebastian knew who was behind it. It seemed that Tony had asked for a lot of help for this matter. The Hellfire Club had already been in a mess with Tony and the others. but it would be more accurate to say that the people from the Hellfire Club were beaten up. The Dragon Warrior's ability to control lightning was too strong, stronger than the two most famous mutants, China's Weather Witch and Storm of the X-Men. Magneto could easily grab a handful of lightning created by the Dragon Warrior and use it as a weapon, just like throwing lightning like a javelin. Now Magneto looked like the legendary Zeus. Nightcrawler could easily give these lightning a powerful force of destruction, and the blue-white current instantly turned into violent purple. Coupled with the existence of one-punch Dr. Banner, almost no one could defeat him with one punch. Now from the scene, Iron Man was the weakest one. But this time it was just a test, so everyone was very controlled and didn't do anything ruthless. In addition, the physical strength of these combat mutants is much higher than that of ordinary people. So although the scene was very chaotic, no deaths were caused, and at most there were injuries. That's enough. I don't think it was Sebastian who did it. Leegi said to Banner after slashing a mutant thug away. I think so too. Banner nodded. Then separate them. As soon as Leegi finished speaking to Dr. Banner used a palm technique that fell from the sky. The huge airwave forcibly separated the mutants of the Hellfire Club who wanted to continue attacking. Nightcrawler stood up. Okay, everyone. It's almost time to stop. We were just invited by Tony to investigate the truth of the matter, not to fight in a group. Mr. Zio, if it wasn't you who did this, then you can talk it out. There's no need to fight. Maybe what Tony said just now was a bit too much, and here I apologize to you on his behalf. You can guess how Iron Man feels now. Leegi made a round, which was considered a step down for the Hellfire Club. Although he was unwilling, the Black King found that he and his men could not do anything to Tony and his men, because it seemed that his side could not win at all. So he could only give up. The first contact between the two sides ended unpleasantly, and Tony left with his friends. Only the Hellfire Club was left to clean up the mess. And the Black King Sebastian was even more furious. Tony Stark, our business is not over yet. The Black King was ready to retaliate against Tony, but he didn't have any good plans for the time being. On the other side, Ethan also received the news from Maya. Both the Stark Group and Dawn Technology refused to spread the extremis virus. Is the potion that has just been produced going to die in the womb before it sees the light of day? Ethan was unwilling to accept this, and he decided to find a new partner. After destroying the Dawn Technology planes twice, Ultron also had his own new plans. Chapter 1069 If we gather together. Ultron sent his Sentinel robots to attack two planes of Dawn Technology and destroyed a large number of X-agents produced by Dawn Technology. For Ultron, in order to ensure its continuation in this world, it needs to ensure the purity of mutants. It cannot let Tony eliminate all mutants, transform them into new mutants. Because once all mutants disappear, then it will be the end of Ultron. This is a very interesting self-protection mechanism. When setting up the Sentinel robots, the first principle is to eliminate mutants. And Ultron was mutated because of the Scarlet Witch's modification of the probability. Its appearance is inseparable from this first principle. So even if Ultron has artificial intelligence, it still cannot modify this first principle, because the first principle is the meaning of its existence in this world. If mutants are not eliminated, then there is no need for Ultron to exist. And if all mutants disappear, then there is no need for Ultron to exist. A complex paradox. Ultron seems to be born to kill himself. I need to make the mutant community stronger, or I need to make people less obsessed with X-Potion. In a secret lair somewhere under the Atlantic Ocean, Ultron was debating with a computer program. I found a sealed cabin that the former leader of Hydra, Red Skull, threw out before he died. But I can't open it. Red Skull actually set up a program that even I can't crack. Maybe this is Hydra's last weapon. If I open it, maybe I don't need to worry about the mutant problem anymore. One of Ultron's thinking programs put forward such a view. No, this is not a good idea. Remember the last expression of Red Skull? That was his last struggle. Maybe there's a weapon inside that can destroy the world. Red Skull can do such a thing. He believes in, I don't care about the flood after I die. Open it, maybe I will perish with him. Another thinking program of Ultron put forward a counter-argument. So am I just going to sit and watch the X-Potion spread little by little? Destroying the plane is only a temporary solution, and the X-Potion will eventually spread. And at a foreseeable rate, the whole world will be addicted to this potion. I can't just sit there and wait for death, and Iron Man is now alert. The next time I attack the plane, I may have to face the siege of the Iron Army. I can't attack Tuvalu directly, there are very few pure mutants now. If I massacre them, I will die soon. The various thinking programs separated from Ultron's brain are thinking and arguing, but none of them can convince anyone. They are like representing different personalities of Ultron. Yes, Ultron is now more and more like a human being, at least at the level of thinking about problems. It has truly evolved from an intelligent machine to a human being. But mechanical life has advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantage is inflexibility, and the advantage is fearlessness. Although Ultron has learned to be flexible after becoming more and more like a human, he has also become more and more cherishing of his life. Now he is no longer afraid that some mastermind will kill him by purging the programs of the whole world. Instead, he is afraid that there will be no more traditional mutants in the future, and he will self-destruct. What could be more terrible than watching himself slowly commit suicide? Ultron is really afraid, so he needs to come up with a way to solve this problem. Simple destruction can't solve this problem. I need to divert people's attention from the X potion. If there is a competitor to the X potion, it will not be so attractive. In this way, the number of mutants can reach an ecological balance. Then I will hunt mutants moderately to complete the instructions, and then I can survive forever. Ultron felt that he had thought of a suitable way. It needs to raise mutants in captivity like humans raise livestock, and also ensure that the mutant race is prosperous, and then he can hunt them in a way that controls the ecological balance. All of this will become a suitable circle, and everything will be balanced in this circle. But now the only problem is, where can we find something that can counter the X potion? Dr. Ethan took a deep breath. Since Tony was unwilling to accept his plan, he could only change a partner. The pace of human progress is not just about X potion or something. The desperate virus is something more suitable for the future of mankind. Publish a small amount of information and experimental data, and I can seek suitable investors on the internet. I don't believe that no one will be interested in this. Dr. Ethan has made a decision. Although the headquarters of the Hellfire Club in New York still looks magnificent on the outside, it is already a mess inside. Tony brought his friends to make trouble and play a game, but they didn't lose anything, but the Hellfire Club suffered a lot of losses. I don't know how much money the loss of various famous wines alone is, and the antique crystal lamps and various gold candlesticks and silver tableware that have been handed down from the 19th century have been damaged. In the end, this group of people patted their butts and left lightly, and I don't know if Tony will compensate for these losses. Black King Sebastian was really furious. Why didn't you control that group of people just now? The Black King was angry at the White Queen again. The White Queen Emma shrugged and said, "Charles has entangled me, you know. There are almost no people on Earth who can resist Charles' mental control. Unless I also have a Magneto helmet." Well, Sebastian had no choice after hearing this. Sebastian sulked. "Check it for me, check it thoroughly. See if there is any handle against Tony Stark." The resources of the Hellfire Club began to mobilize. The news that Dr. Meyer went to the Stark Group to seek funding and was rejected in the end was also sent to Sebastian's desk along with various massive news. It wasn't the Hellfire Club. Now the only clue is broken. Do you have any ideas, Nightwalker? In the Stark Group building, Tony was still angry and it was Dr. Banner who was talking. There is no logic, no clues, and we can't find who did all this. Leegi shook his head. When everyone thought he had no solution, he suddenly said, "Maybe we can only rely on a little luck and destiny. Everyone. Don't forget, we now have a word spirit demon and a probability tamperer Wanda." Leegi had a smile on his face. Chapter 1070 Damon's Ambition. Since cooperating with Leegi and becoming his hired hero, Damon's life has been much better. After meeting Leegi and others, he found out that he was actually a mutant with the power of words. This ability is very strong, but also very weak. It is strong because as long as Damon activates his ability and speaks, it will always make something happen, just like the legendary mouth holding the law of heaven. But the reason for being weak is that Damon's ability is not infinite. For example, he can say, "Magneto will fall when he goes out today." Maybe Magneto will fall, but the consequence may be that Damon will be crushed to death. Because everything Damon says and does requires a price and is not unrestricted. If Damon uses his ability without paying a price and everything can succeed, then Damon will probably become the most terrible mutant in the world and there is no one else. As a former member of Hydra, Damon has experienced many storms in his life. For example, the base was attacked by Magneto, attacked by Magneto, and attacked by Magneto, etc. Damon was tired of the days of fighting and killing. He was fed up with going to work every day with a gun, earning only a few $1,000s a month, and having all kinds of benefits deducted. Originally, he planned to go to China to be a foreign teacher, but in the end he met Li Ji and others in Hong Kong, and Li Ji finally discovered his talent that had been buried. Now as a hired hero, Damon is very satisfied with his life. He no longer has to fight and kill people with a gun. Now his life is very free and easy, with a salary of nearly $1 million a year, and he only needs to help recite a few poems when he has nothing to do. Many plans promoted by the Illuminati will ask Damon to recite a few poems to ensure that things will happen after handling various preparatory work in the early stage. With this powerful word spirit, unless you meet a legendary Chinese general, many things will not fail. Now living in a beautiful seaside town in Europe, Damon is drinking a little wine and fishing on his small yacht about 1 kilometer away from the shore. Life, this is how it should be. Damon thought so. Now he has everything: a stable and non-dangerous job, a guaranteed high income. All insurances are paid, and he has bought a house in Portugal. Life can be endlessly happy like this. The only thing missing is a beautiful girlfriend. But now Damon doesn't dare to mess with women outside for the sake of work safety and confidentiality. Although beautiful women are good, his professional life and personal safety are more important. This has become the only thing that worries Damon. Looking at the calm sea level, Damon suddenly had an idea. Since his ability can make him win a huge lottery of Euro millions, it's called millions but the prize money is over 100 million euros, although it is only because he made a great wish. Period. But if I use this ability to find myself a girlfriend, it's okay? The requirements don't have to be too high, just 1.7 meters tall, 30-60 body, sweet and cute. It would be better if she can do music or art. Then it would be better to have a common language with me, and not threaten the confidentiality of my work and my life safety. Well, these are my requirements, shouldn't they be too many? Damon thought for a while to see if there was anything else he needed to add. Well, it would be best if she was white. I'm not racist, but the appearance of black and yellow people really doesn't fit my aesthetic. But there is a price to pay for activating abilities. What price would be appropriate to pay for finding a girlfriend like this? Health. People often say that they are willing to shorten their lifespan by XX years as long as they can marry a certain goddess. Damon thought deeply, then shook his head. It's not cost effective. It's not cost effective. I can't have a wife and then have a short life. If there are too many people who have a short life, won't it be cheaper for others in the end? In the end, others will drive the car and boat I left behind, hug my wife and beat my children. It's not cost effective. Damon quickly rejected this option, because who knows how many years he can live. Maybe he will die immediately after making a vow. Ability is not good either. This is the foundation of my life. No. Or money. Damon thought of a suitable exchange condition. By the way, money is okay. I can make $1 million a year now, and this is the net income after paying all taxes. Looking at the world, I should be one of the high-income people. What if I spend $200,000 a year to find a girlfriend? Damon was eager to make a move, and the more he thought about it, the more feasible it seemed. Just when he was about to use his ability, speaking Chinese, to activate this word spirit, the radio program on the ship happened to broadcast a case of murder of a husband due to property dispute. Damon, who was originally full of enthusiasm, instantly extinguished his enthusiasm. The girlfriend he got back might be a gold digger. Who knows what kind of problems will arise in the end? Damon wants to find true love, someone who can accompany him through life. After all, he is already an adult. Lying on a 2-meter by 2-meter bed in the middle of the night covered with a silk quilt, Damon still felt a little empty, lonely and cold. Just like fishing now, if there is a close friend to accompany him, watching the sunset, the lover lying in his arms, saying sweet words, what a good life it would be. I want a true love. Damon whispered. After he finished saying this, he suddenly had an inspiration. That's right. It's true love. If you are looking for love, what can be more precious than true love as a price? Damon figured it out instantly, and immediately said in Chinese, I want to find a white woman who is 1.7 meters tall, with a 30-60 figure, a sweet and cute appearance, and who is good at music and art to be my other half, and I will never leave her in this life. For her, I am willing to give all my true love. Well, The ability has been activated, without any waves or strange visions. But the power of the word spirit is like this. Only when things happen can we know whether it succeeds or not. After Damon finished this, he started fishing quietly again. Tonight he planned to catch a sea fish from the Mediterranean for dinner. There were cooking utensils on the boat, and he could fry the fish with olive oil. Just as Damon was waiting for the fish to bite, a space gate appeared on the boat. Damon was surprised. Wow, is my ability so powerful now? Now a beauty is delivered to my door. But to Damon's disappointment, it was not a beauty who came, but a hooded night walker. When Night Walker arrived, he didn't say much. He grabbed Damon and said, "Get ready. The organization needs you now." Chapter 1071 Dr. Hank's Second Spring. The organization needs you now, come with me. The sudden appearance of Night Walker caught Damon off guard. He originally thought that the person who came was his future wife or something, but it turned out to be a rough man. No, wait. Damon remembered that he had not seen the true face of Night Walker yet. Maybe under the hood was the face of a peerless beauty? Damon began to fantasize in his mind. However, this fantasy did not last long before he was pulled into the space gate by Night Walker. Wait, my fish. Damon was still thinking about his fishing rod and the fish that might be about to be caught. Don't make a fuss, I'll go to the supermarket to buy it for you later, buy as much as you want. Night Walker was very generous, and dragged Damon directly into the space gate without waiting for Damon to make more resistance. Montreal, Canada. Since Scarlet and Quicksilver were rescued from Hydra by Lee G and others, they have maintained an uncooperative attitude for a long time. Even if Magneto Max said the famous line, "I am your father," from Star Wars, it still didn't work. The two children ignored him or not. As a result, Magneto actually agreed to attend the senior dance that Lee G and others found for him and Charles to meet elegant women. However, the two did not find a partner, but they found a good parenting expert, Ms. Lorena, who has unique insights into the raising of problem children. At the same time, Ms. Lorena is also a very outstanding music performer. She used to be the first violinist in a first-class symphony orchestra. Now she has returned to Montreal after retirement and opened a music studio to teach music lovers. At present, Scarlet and Quicksilver are learning music here. It must be said that Lorena's education is still useful. Scarlet and Quicksilver are obviously much better in character now. The influence of music and long-term training have given them better patience, and their personalities are no longer so irritable and difficult to get along with. At least they are very happy with Lorena. Because they were all raised in the incubator by Hydra, without a real childhood and growth. All knowledge or other things were forcefully instilled into their brains through machines, and they had never experienced all of this themselves. They knew that snow was cold, but they had never made snowballs. They knew that fire was hot, but they had never made a barbecue. They also knew that the moon was a satellite of the Earth, but they had never heard of the myths about the moon and the various legends about the moon. They knew jazz, rumba, blues, and new age, but they had never really heard of them. Everything they knew was actually false, and they felt it all here with Ms. Lorena. Lorena's music classroom was opened in her own home, a two-story villa, with a total of more than a dozen students. In addition to teaching, Lorena would tell her students were mainly young people and children, about the customs and experiences she had seen when she performed around the world in the past, as well as many specialty artworks she collected. When the first heavy snow came to Montreal, Lorena asked these students to build snowmen of various shapes with the white snow in their backyard, all at random. Art requires open cells and unconventional thinking. Lorena has her own teaching philosophy. Even if it is the same piece of music, different performers can play it with completely different flavors. When the weather gets warmer, she will also set up a grill in the backyard to invite free students to her house for a barbecue party. Here, Scarlet and Quicksilver seem to have grown up for the second time. This is the second starting point of their lives. All the things they have never experienced before have been truly experienced here. For them, this is the first time to experience the meaning of life in this world, and this meaning is the only way for people to feel their existence in this world. And now Scarlet and Quicksilver even call Lorena Mom, just like some students who study abroad and live in each other's families, and finally become a part of this family, and Lorena is also happy to accept this title. She likes children, but she didn't get married for various reasons when she was young, otherwise she would definitely have several children. Now Scarlet and Quicksilver have been staying in Montreal and even in Lorena's house for longer than they have been with Magneto. Of course, They actually don't want to be with Magneto at all, and they don't even acknowledge that Magneto is their father. Scarlet and Quicksilver had their abilities blocked by the X potion. Although they have lost their abilities, they live happily. But today, Luigi and others really need Scarlet's help. So Tony had to come to Montreal to visit Ms. Lorena, because Scarlet and the others are staying here temporarily. When Tony knocked on the door, it was Scarlet Witch Wanda who opened the door. Wanda knew Tony Stark. Wanda couldn't tell whether she liked him or disliked him, or maybe she just didn't feel anything for him. She knew that this man was a friend of her father, that's all. Tony Stark. Wanda glanced at Tony and called him by his name. Yes, it's me. Tony was wearing a formal suit, and he loosened his tie. Hello, Wanda, long time no see. Why don't you invite me in for a drink? It's not a short journey from the United States to Canada. Wanda had a blank expression on her face, but she loosened the door she was guarding to signal Tony to go in, but she still said coldly, for you wearing an iron armor, is the whole world really far away? Well, it seems that it is not. In the semi-open kitchen, Tony met Ms. Lorena, who was baking cookies. Lorena heard the footsteps and asked without raising her head, Wanda, who is here? Is it your friend? No, to be precise, it's my so-called father's friend. Wanda walked into the semi-open kitchen and continued to make cookies with Lorena. It seemed that she had been doing this before, together with Ms. Lorena. Lorena raised her head. Oh, it's Mr. Tony Stark. Your father's friends are really wide. What's the matter, Mr. Stark? Lorena looked a little surprised, but it was just a little surprised. She was not as enthusiastic as most people would be when they saw the real Iron Man Tony Stark. Yet, I don't know him very well anyway. Scarlet shrugged. Tony felt that he really shouldn't have been sent to carry out this mission. Charles or Max should have come in person. But Charles seemed to be worried about something, so he was not available. He was worried about Cyclops Scott for the White Queen Emma. Scott and Jean Grey were each other's spiritual support. As for Max, well, he was not a good choice. If he came, he would probably only mess things up. I just came to see the siblings as a friend. By the way, where's Pietro, Quicksilver? Tony found that he didn't seem to see Quicksilver. He and Hank are clearing the dining table in the backyard. We are going to have a dinner there tonight. If you don't mind, you can stay for dinner, Mr. Stark. Lorena said politely. Tony heard a familiar name. Hank? Wanda, is it the Hank I know? Wanda glanced at Tony and nodded. Yes, it's the Hank you are familiar with, my Uncle Hank. Who is calling my name? A cheerful male voice appeared in the house. Tony was very familiar with this voice, but Tony was very unfamiliar with the appearance of this person. There was no blue or gold or red or colorful or color hair. He was not strong and tall at all, and did not look wild at all. The man who walked in from the backyard looked to be in his 50s, wearing a pair of black framed glasses, with a tall and thin figure, and looked like a university professor. Tony. Hank. Wait. Tony looked at Lorena and then at Hank, and then remembered that Hank had said a long time ago that he had a date in the evening, and he seemed to suddenly understand something. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1072. Who is the winner? Hank, why are you here? Tony was really surprised. He had never expected Hank to appear in Lorena's cabin. By the way, what was Hank doing here? Hank was also surprised to see Tony, or it could be said that he was surprised with embarrassment. It was as if something bad was discovered, and now Hank was like a child who broke his mother's vase and was caught on the act. His face began to flush slightly, and he said in a slightly unnatural tone, it's Tony, Tony Stark. I know you. Dr. Hank was talking nonsense, and Tony couldn't help but wave his hand to interrupt him. Nonsense, of course you know me, we have worked together for so long. But speaking of it, this is the first time I see your true appearance. Tony was right. Although he had worked with Dr. Hank for so long, especially after the development of the X potion, Dr. Hank could actually return to his human form, but he had always maintained his beast form. At most, he used a color-changing potion to change his hair color every day. That's right. Why does Dr. Hank keep changing the color of his hair every day? Maybe it's because he's always in a very excited state? So the color of his hair changes every day, with golden, purple, and red hair. Tony took a big step forward and seemed to be very friendly with his hands around Dr. Hank's neck. It's not easy to do this. Dr. Hank is tall and thin, almost 1.9 meters tall, and Tony, he put his hands around Hank's neck and whispered to Dr. Hank, "Wait, have you been coming here often recently?" Faced with Tony Stark's questioning, especially being caught in the act, Dr. Hank could only truthfully explain, "You're a little too strong, it hurts me." "Well, I have been coming here recently." "What are you doing here?" "To pick up Wanda and Pietro." Tony was not very satisfied with Dr. Hank's answer. "By the way, you're also dating Ms. Lorena, right?" Dr. Hank's face turned red as soon as Tony finished speaking. Tony let go of his hand and couldn't help but say, "How come I didn't know you were so shy? Please, you're so old, is this your first time to fall in love? Don't bother me." Dr. Hank was a little angry. "Oh, my God. Wait. Is this really your first time to fall in love?" Tony looked at Hank in disbelief. He asked Dr. Hank in a low voice. His curiosity was as if he had discovered a new cell organism in the laboratory. Tony was really surprised. He knew that Dr. Hank was a relatively, well, emotionally introverted person. Professor Charles and Magneto mentioned this intentionally or unintentionally, but no one really paid attention to it. From the occasional chats between Charles, Max and Hank, everyone knew some clues. When Dr. Hank was young, he was crazy about Raven, the magic girl. Well, that's Mystique. Although so many years have passed, Mystique has not aged at all, or Mystique's ability makes her not age at all. Although Mystique herself looks like a woman with blue scales and short red hair, she looks a bit scary. But she has an ability that almost all women dream of. That is, she can change herself into anyone at will, as long as she wants. She can become 17-year-old Britney Spears today, 25-year-old Madonna tomorrow, and 23-year-old Marilyn Monroe the day after tomorrow. If she wants, she can also restore all kinds of virtual characters that only exist in the virtual world to reality, whether it is Mai Shiranu or Chun-Li, or Aonimi Rie and Asuka, or Rayquaza and DVA. She can easily change into the appearance of a goddess in any man's heart, or the appearance of a male god in the heart of a girl. She can make everyone, both men and women, fall at her feet. She just needs to beckon her fingers and countless people will be willing to sacrifice their lives for her. This is really not a joke. Hank is obsessed with Mystique. It's normal. Faced with such a terrible witch, a real witch, how many people cannot be tempted? But Mystique finally ran away with Magneto, turning all of Hank's enthusiasm into empty dreams. But could it be that Raven was Hank's first love, secret love, that ended before it even started, and Hank hasn't had a relationship in all these years? Tony couldn't believe it. Even the mature and steady Professor Charles was a playboy in his 20s and 30s. The bartender at the bar outside Harvard University witnessed his great achievements in picking up girls. And Magneto is not to be mentioned. Tony believes that such a cool and powerful man must have been liked by many women back then. In comparison, among these three people, it seems that only Dr. Hank is doing the worst. His first love ended before it even started, and he has been single until now? Oh my God. If Dr. Hank goes to learn magic, he might be a being that can surpass doom. Tony didn't know why this idea suddenly popped up in his mind. But it doesn't matter, because there are more surprising things to come. Tony finally decided to stay for dinner, because he still had to find a chance to talk to Scarlet about something that he needed her help with. This can only be voluntary and not forced. The people in the Illuminati are afraid that forcing Scarlet to use her abilities will remind her of those unpleasant memories in Hydra. Wanda is baking cookies in the kitchen with Ms. Lorena, and she also baked a very tempting beef pie. Tony has already smelled the slightly burnt aroma of the pie crust and the mellow aroma of the beef. In the backyard, a long table has been set up. Hank and Pietro set it up together. And now Pietro is operating a barbecue in the backyard. Oh, wait a minute. Don't rush to turn it over. A chef friend of mine said that you need to wait until the edge of the meat is slightly browned before turning it over, and it is best to only turn it over once. Dr. Hank was instructing Pietro on how to grill meat. Pietro just nodded when he saw Tony, then stood beside Hank and asked, "Hank, do you need onions?" "Of course, if we have onions, we can make some barbecue sauce. You can cut an onion first, and we'll save it for later. By the way, leave some raw onion rings," Hank directed. "Gentlemen, I brought some drinks." Wanda came out of the kitchen with some drinks, including carbonated soda and beer. She said to Tony, "Coke or beer?" "Beer, thank you." After giving Tony beer, Wanda walked straight to Dr. Hank. "Here's the beer, and yours, Pietro, take it." The two who were grilling also got their drinks. "Sister, what do you think of my knife skills?" Pietro was showing off his knife skills but was despised by Wanda. "Terrible." As she spoke, Wanda stood behind Hank and leaned her head against Dr. Hank intimately. Hank said in a doting tone, "Aren't you going to help Lorena?" "Oh, Lorena said she can do the rest of the work. So I think I can take a break." Wanda was as playful as a 16-year-old girl. She didn't dodge when Hank scratched her nose. "Wait, look at my onion missile." Pietro, who was cutting onions, threw all the cut onions into the hot cast iron stew pot. This was for making barbecue sauce. But because the butter had just melted in it, Pietro's action caused a lot of butter to splash out. "Oops. You got it on me." Wanda was angry. She was wearing a red shirt and now it was stained with yellow spots. "Hey. You can't hit me. Hank asked me to do it." Pietro turned around to avoid Wanda's pursuit and hid behind Hank. Kids, can you let me grill the meat quietly for a while?" Although Hank was complaining, Tony couldn't hear any resentment in it. At this time, Lorena brought out a plate of freshly baked beef pie. She smiled and said, "Is anyone hungry? If you are hungry, you can eat a little first, but don't eat too much. We still have to save some space for Hank's barbecue dinner." Hank gave Lorena a thumbs up, and the two smiled at each other. Tony, who was sitting next to him drinking beer and watching all this, suddenly had a feeling that these four people together are a real family. Professor Charles, Magneto Max, they are all unimportant. So after so many years, who is the loser and who is the winner now? Chapter 1073. The beginning of the story. Life is unpredictable. Sometimes the winner becomes the loser, and sometimes the loser becomes the winner. Tony is now very doubtful. Whose child is Wanda and Pietro now? Probably, perhaps, possibly, Hank's. Anyway, judging from the intimacy of the two of them towards Hank and the degree of their disgust towards Max, it seems to be true. Is Hank considered a surrogate mother? Tony Stark thought so whimsically. But there are too many things to think about, and many things need to be continued. For example, Tony can only ask Hank for help in this matter of needing Scarlet Witch's help. After all, it is not as effective as her father for him to speak as an outsider. Although Hank was a little non-committal after listening to what Tony said, he did not say whether Liji's plan was reliable or not. He just nodded and said that he would tell Wanda about it. So after dinner, Dr. Hank talked to Wanda in a low voice, and then pointed at Tony. "He still needs your help." I'm not very familiar with him." Wanda looked indifferent. "But this guy can pay for you to buy a brand new Fender guitar." The Fender Hank was talking about was not a beverage, but a world-famous guitar production brand. In particular, the electric guitars produced are very famous and are a good brand that many music lovers want to buy. "Really?" Wanda asked with doubt. "Really, he can help you buy the entire product line of Fender." For some reason, Dr. Hank said this. "Okay, then I need Fender to customize some guitars for me to correspond to the 12 constellations. What do you think?" Wanda glanced at Pietro. "What do you need?" "A drum set and a sports car." Quicksilver. Pietro said this seriously. Wanda looked at her brother in disbelief. "Sports car? What on earth can run faster than you?" Dr. Hank listened to Wanda's words and nodded in agreement, and pushed his black-framed glasses. "Hey, that's right, that's what you said. But the car is not for driving, I just use it to show off. Just like if I date Lorena, a girl who comes here to study music, and go to the bowling alley 10 kilometers away with her, I can't just hug her and go there." What Pietro said makes a lot of sense. Tony finally got a reply from Dr. Hank. "Good news, Wanda agreed to help you. But there is a small condition." Tony raised his eyebrows. Tony Stark's private technology island. The space door opened, and Liji appeared here with a cart. He was still fishing leisurely in the Mediterranean in the last second, and Damon was here in the next second. "My dinner and my fish." Damon was still thinking about this. He was originally preparing to spend a leisurely day, but the appearance of Nightwalker ruined everything. And it seems that he still needs to do something by himself. "Alice, I was originally planning to go out after dinner to see if I can have a romantic encounter or something." After all, he had just used his ability to find his future significant other. "If you want to eat, there's food here." Li Ji took Damon to the inside of the technology island without hesitation. There's food here, and if you want to eat fish, there's fish too, don't worry. Damon curled his lips and thought to himself, that's not what I'm worried about, okay? Li Ji met Tony in front of the living room where dinner was prepared. He asked, how is it going? Is Wanda going well? Tony shrugged, very smooth, just paid a negligible price. Yes, it's just a few million to buy some musical instruments, and then a few million to buy a sports car, which is a piece of cake for Tony. Last time he invited Mindy and Laura to his wedding to play angels, he gave them a Lego lifetime delivery voucher. Now these two little princesses have already delivered a lot of goods. Wanda has arrived, and she's just waiting for Damon to cooperate. Tony pointed inside, but there's a small problem now. What? Li Ji was a little curious. Magneto is here. He hasn't seen his daughter for a long time, so he came to see Wanda. Li Ji didn't think there was anything wrong with what Tony said. So? Isn't it normal for a father to see his daughter? Although Max is sometimes a little bit like a normal father. Li Ji replied nonchalantly. After all, no father would be obsessed with Lego figures for a long time and forget that he has children. Is it because Wanda is still in a mediocre relationship with Magneto? It's normal. We don't expect them to really become a model of fatherly love and filial piety. No, you don't understand what happened. Tony was a little confused. The problem now is that Magneto was very angry when he saw Wanda. Huh? Why? Li Ji didn't know what happened. Tony patted Li Ji on the shoulder and said in a serious tone, you haven't become a father yet, so you don't understand a feeling, called the feeling of your own child becoming someone else's child. Li Ji? Question mark? Black question mark face? Wait, where's Damon? Li Ji found that Damon had disappeared while he was chatting with Tony. Actually, Damon, who was hungry, had already flowed into the banquet hall. He had not eaten his dinner yet. Some food was prepared in the banquet hall, similar to the buffet. Damon was holding a plate and looking for food. There were some German sausages and Spanish ham, as well as caviar and salad, and a sandwich and luncheon meat. There were also many snacks, many of which Damon could not name. He was going to take some things to the side to fill his stomach first. Luncheon meat, luncheon meat, luncheon meat. Damon took the luncheon meat happily, as if he had never seen this thing in his previous life. Well, take 2 more slices of bread and some lettuce leaves. Oh, there are eggs, you can have some. A little peanut butter. Damon planned to make a luncheon meat sandwich by himself. Don't laugh at him. Some people just like to eat cheap things. Compared with caviar and so on, Damon just likes luncheon meat sandwiches. This is luncheon meat, not Spanish ham. A female voice kindly reminded Damon behind him. Oh, I know. I don't like Spanish ham, but I like luncheon meat, you know? Whether it's eaten directly, fried with flour, or pan-fried, or put in a sandwich. I just like luncheon meat, more than beef. Damon took a lot of luncheon meat and said confidently. His words aroused the interest of the lady behind him, and she said, you are really interesting. My name is Wanda, what's your name? My name is Damon, Damon turned around and was stunned. Chapter 1074 My beloved little donkey. Okay, you don't have to follow me anymore. It's time to go back. I also need to find a place to change this outfit. After walking through 4 blocks, Zhang Tong said this to Li Xianfeng and his sister while sitting in the police car. Wait a minute, we'll just take you to the store. Li Xianfeng said this to Zhang Tong kindly. But Zhang Tong waved his hands. I'm kidding, this outfit makes me feel uncomfortable. I want to change it quickly. Can you stop doing such disgusting things? Li Yishan looked at Zhang Tong sitting in the back seat. She was a little angry. Because Zhang Tong is still wearing Zhang Hua's face. Really? Hey, why do I want to pinch it too? Li Yishan was very angry with herself, so she took her anger out on Zhang Tong. Okay. This is not good. Zhang Tong did think that this was a bit problematic, so let me recover quickly. Li Yishan and Li Xianfeng looked at each other, and then Li Yishan threw a potion to Zhang Tong from the front. Here, this is for removing illusions, and it can also be used as makeup remover. Thanks. Zhang Tong did not hesitate to spray it on his face. Soon, Zhang Tong, who had originally changed his face into Zhang Hua's by makeup and illusion, quickly returned to his thick eyebrows and big eyes. Now he feels much better. Of course, he also needs to change his clothes. Miss Yishan, Please close your eyes. Zhang Tong's words were very polite. Li Yishan turned her head and said a little arrogantly, "Tisk, I don't like to see you." But she still closed her eyes. Li Xianfeng drove the car to a place where almost no one passed by. Zhang Tong quickly took off all the clothes he was wearing. Zhang Tong's figure was still good. His shoulders were relatively broad and had obvious muscle lines, but he was not particularly square, like a bodybuilder. It should be said that Zhang Tong's muscle lines are more like those of a swimmer or a male model with beautiful lines. Li Xianfeng glanced at Zhang Tong and said, "Brother, I have practiced. A little bit." Zhang Tong took off all the women's clothes he was wearing without hesitation, and then changed into his original clothes from the bag. As for Zhang Hua's leather shoes, they were completely worn out by him. The shoes were more than 2 sizes too small, and they were forced into place. There were signs of cracking at the bottom and the seams of the soles. Remember to return these clothes to the female police officer. By the way, tell her about Zhang Hua's leather shoes, and I'll take them to her to repair them. Zhang Tong got out of the car with Zhang Hua's pair of leather shoes in a paper bag. Li Xianfeng waved at him. "Okay, thank you for your hard work today, Boss Zhang. If you can really solve the case, we will ask the police station to make a banner for you and send it to you." "That's fine. When the banner comes, I will hang it in the most conspicuous place to let the criminals see that my store is a store where the police and the people are close to each other." "Okay, you go first, I'll go back after a stroll." Zhang Tong said goodbye to Li Xianfeng and Li Yishan. Turning a corner, Zhang Tong did not walk towards his own store, but walked towards the hospital. It's not that he didn't believe that Zhang Hua couldn't handle 2 small criminals. It's because his electric donkey is still in the hospital. He heard that the theft of electric donkeys in Huaihe was rampant in the past 2 years, but it has been much better in the past year. But people still continue to steal. It's not that they steal electric donkeys, but the batteries inside. A battery can be sold for 200 or 300 yuan at the cheapest. If you steal a few, you can make more than 1,000 yuan a day. This income is much higher than that of an ordinary job. There are many people doing this business. I should go back and ride my electric donkey away. Otherwise, if it is stolen outside the hospital, the loss will be huge. That is a new car that I just bought for almost 3,000 yuan. I love it very much. Inside the hospital, Wang Shen and Sally felt a sense of pressure from the sky. Damn, Zhang Hua hasn't left yet. Wang Shen and Sally realized that they might have been tricked. It turned out that Zhang Hua didn't leave at all. Yes, Wang Gang must have suspected them. But what they didn't expect was that Wang Gang could judge that their target was Yanyi so quickly. In fact, Wang Gang himself was not sure that his judgment was correct, because he also had some guessing and gambling elements in it. But now that the gamble was successful, Wang Shen and Sally were out of luck. Zhang Hua's gravity ability is no joke. Wang Gang had a hard time resisting Zhang Hua's gravity, and Wang Shen and Sally might not be stronger than Wang Gang. They both felt a little guilty when they saw Wang Gang. But this is a hospital, and there are other patients downstairs, so Zhang Hua can't make a big noise. She is afraid of disturbing the sleep of other seriously ill patients. You know, it is very important for seriously ill patients to rest at night. So when Zhang Hua jumped down from the 14th floor and controlled the gravity to fly to the 13th floor, she actually controlled the force of gravity she applied to the 2 people. After all, she couldn't collapse the floor, but even so, she still pressed the 2 people to the floor and couldn't lift their heads. Especially Sally, she was not a person known for her physical fitness or front-to-hard steel fighting style. Zhang Hua exerted 10 times gravity on the 2 people, and Sally was instantly crushed to the ground by her own gravity and pressed into a big letter shape. She couldn't stand up at all, and her head was covered with sweat as if she was tortured. She opened her mouth, but her throat couldn't make any sound, and her eyes were wide open as if they were about to burst. This is certain. 10 times the gravity pressed on her body means that Wanda's internal organs will be squeezed and compressed all over her body. This kind of pain is from the fingertips to the ends of the hair, and every part of the body is feeling pain, which is far beyond ordinary torture. Zhang Hua made this graceful woman suffer so much that she was incontinent and lost all her manners. If a pig brother came here, he would have been gentle with her, but Zhang Hua would not let her go just because she was beautiful. Because she had heard their conversation with Yanyi on the 14th floor, through the monitor in the PSV, Zhang Hua had only one thing to say to these 2 people: they deserved it. However, compared to Sally's unbearableness, Wang Shan seemed to have some strength to resist. He began to emit white light. No one knew what kind of superpower, skill or magic he was, but he actually stood up. Zhang Hua didn't say anything nonsense and waved his hand. Come out. Zhang Hua shouted, and Wang Shan was like being caught by a giant. Then he was thrown out of the window. Wang Shan, who was emitting white light, was particularly obvious in the dark night. Zhang Tong, who was coming back to get the electric bike, saw it, and also saw Zhang Hua floating in the air. He couldn't help but sighed. Wow, he looks so powerful. The same voice appeared at the other end of the street. Zhang Tong couldn't help but look in the direction of the sound, and a man in sportswear turned around to look at him. Coincidentally, it was an acquaintance, and Zhang Tong couldn't help but greet him. Hey, isn't this Zhang Moxun? Are you running at night? Chapter 1075 The So-Called Price. Damon and Scarlet chatted happily and joyfully. Just as he thought, Wanda was a perfect partner. She was beautiful, had a good personality, and was good at art. Oh my god. Even if he hadn't activated his power of words before, Damon believed that he would definitely fall in love with such a girl. He had already determined that Wanda would be his girlfriend, so he was ready to launch an offensive against Wanda. Do you know gypsies? Damon asked after looking at Wanda's beautiful gray-green eyes. Yeah, music, wandering, caravans, and beautiful gypsy women. Oh, and fortune-telling. Wanda thought about some key words about gypsies. Do you know? I met a gypsy witch when I was in a small country in Europe. Damon said seriously. Wanda raised her eyebrows. Aha, so. I learned palmistry and fortune-telling from her. Do you want to try it? I'm pretty accurate. Damon said very seriously. He looked like a wizard. Wanda said non-committally, so what preparations are needed? No. Just show me your right hand. Wanda stretched out her right hand and handed her palm to Damon. Damon looked down at Wanda's palm lines and said in a very serious tone, wow, judging from your palm lines, your life will be very, very long. And you will have a very happy family. Wanda frowned when she heard this. It seems that your fortune-telling is not very accurate. She wanted to pull her hand away, but Damon held her hand and shook his head. No, you haven't understood what I mean. Wanda? The very happy family I'm talking about is formed by you yourself. Maybe you had an unhappy childhood and had a bastard father or something, but this is actually normal. Look at me. My father was only addicted to alcohol when I was young, and did nothing else. So there is no need to be angry about what you experienced in the past. You should have a long-term vision, and you need to see a more distant future. Damon said it very sincerely, and such words made him keep Wanda. Damon couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief in his heart. Fortunately, he reacted quickly, otherwise he would be doomed. After all, fortune-telling is like this. 3 points rely on guessing and 7 points rely on seeing the other person's reaction. You will have a very happy and complete family. In your future life, you will have 2 lovely babies and a husband who loves you. Your life will be very happy and you will successfully get rid of the shadow of your childhood and all the unhappiness left by your bastard father. Damon didn't understand what he was saying now and what the meaning was. But Wanda felt very comfortable listening to these words. She raised one eyebrow and said, really? I hope this day will come sooner. But it seems that it is a long way off. Damon relaxed his expression and made himself look like a very trustworthy person. He asked, why? Because I don't have a boyfriend yet. Wanda shook her head, and what she said was exactly what Damon wanted to hear. Great. She doesn't have a boyfriend yet. Really? Are you lying to me? Damon pretended to be completely unconvinced. Wait a minute, let me see your love line. Wow. Guess what I saw? Damon said in a very exaggerated tone. What? Wanda took the bait. Look. From your love line, I saw that you will soon meet the most important other half of your life. Wait a minute, let me see the time. Not next year, not next month, not even next week. I found it, today. After saying this, Damon winked at Wanda, almost saying that he was the most suitable candidate. Hearing this, Wanda was slightly stunned, and then quickly laughed. Ha. Damon, I must say that your pickup skills are terrible. Even my brother is better at picking up girls than you. Not too bad, right? At least you are laughing happily. Damon said without caring at all. That's because your excuses are too bad and too stupid, just like a clown in a circus. Wanda stood up and looked like she was going to leave, but at least she was in a good mood and said these things with a smile. If playing a clown can make you happy, I don't mind it very much. Damon didn't care at all that he was called a clown. If this can make you laugh so brightly, I am willing to do it, you know? The way you laugh makes the most beautiful gems pale. You should smile more and forget the unhappy childhood experience and that bad father. What Damon said made Wanda laugh even more happily. At least Damon left a good impression on them during their first meeting. A good start is half the battle, and Damon felt that he had already succeeded halfway. But why did it seem something was wrong? In Damon's eyes, the smile on Wanda's face gradually disappeared, and she became more and more serious. Did I do something wrong? Damon looked at himself from head to toe. No. He was very normal, and he didn't appear to be rude at all. Another thing, why did he feel that his back was becoming heavier and heavier? Whose childhood did you just say was shadowed, and what did you say about Wanda having a very bad father? An extremely serious male voice came from behind Damon. This voice was familiar and made one feel like the voice of the person he least wanted to see. Damon slowly turned his head and saw the face of a scary old man. He always remembered what this man looked like, because the first time it was him who destroyed the Hydra base, and he escaped with diarrhea, and the second time it was him again, and he escaped because he fell and fainted. Then the third time, the fourth time. Yes, every time his work was a little stable and his life just made a little progress, he would appear to destroy his life. This is his lifelong enemy, Magneto Max. Damon knew that Magneto seemed to be at this rally, but he didn't think the two would have any intersection, and he would just hide away when he saw him. Now he was not particularly afraid of Magneto. Could he dare to kill him here? Damon frowned. So, what does all this I said have to do with you? Magneto looked at Damon and said coldly, because I am Wanda's father. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.